Hey, good evening, everybody. I am the Goat Bams, and I am here with the Van Down by the Riv podcast. We are bringing to you the Ghost and the Goat, and for my next trick, I am going to bring on the Ghost. Buddy, come on in here.
Woo! Hey, how you doing today, man?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Really good,
Good, good,
dude.
good.
I like your new microphone setup, dude. Your earmuffs that you wear throughout the show. That's nice. The hat's a little, but the rest of it's a nice setup.
I had to upgrade.
Yeah, every now and again you got to throw a couple bucks out there, dude. I got a really nice mic. It hangs here in front of me. I can move it. I can
It's a
make
lot
it
e-
do fun. I have
for,
fun sounds with it and stuff. I can do echoes and shit.
yeah,
It's
for
it's
me, it's a
lovely.
lot easier than the just the headphones. I
Yeah.
realized that I wasn't getting that great of sound, so then I invested into a microphone, which I was
It's
going to do
nice.
anyway. It just happened to be the perfect time.
It's a nice cheap upgrade, but it's lovely, dude. It fits your face, your
It
area
wasn't,
nice over there.
and it
It's
wasn't
lovely.
cheap.
No, well, no. It doesn't have to be cheap. I'm not saying it's cheap. I'm just saying, it's not like you're not. Yeah, you know what I mean, guy.
Buddy, how's your week been, man? It feels like it's
Dude,
been forever.
this is my this is my Wednesday, so this is my hump day. So
Yep.
today is like one of those days that's like I dread all week because it's my staff meeting, and my staff meeting usually goes like 3 hours. And we talk about people drone about the same nonsense topics for hours about not they just like to hear themselves talk. I swear to God, dude, I sit there like trying to play with my phone, trying not to play with my phone. I got lucky enough today. I was able to bring a client on. I had him for an appointment today, and he wanted to grab some lunch. So he's like, "Let's go to Burger King." He's like, "Burger King, Burger King." That's how he talks, right? Like, yeah, let's go to Burger King, dude. We go to Burger King because it makes my stomach upset. And about an hour and a half after eating, I got to go to the bathroom. Gets me out of the meeting for like a half an hour. Brilliant. So I got through my meeting. I got through hump day. It's always a pleasure sitting across the screen or next to you, Bams, and
Always a joy.
I'm looking forward to this evening's guests and this evening's discussions later.
This is a good
And
one. We're gonna
it's going to be a
we
good
have a
one,
good
too.
show planned. Today's my
It's
Monday because yesterday was Patriots Day in Massachusetts.
oh right, right, a beautiful
So
day. I celebrated thoroughly all weekend, but
I went up to Boston. I
beautiful town. You went
oh
for
man, and
the
so
marathon, dude.
for those that don't know, the Boston Marathon happens on Patriots Day every year for us massholes. And my brother ran in it, and what an overwhelming experience to be there. It was unbelievable. We'll talk more about it later, but it
Yeah,
was
we'll
just
definitely talk about this one because I
it
got
was
some marathon stories.
unbelievable to be there with the environment and to see my brother finish the race and to be there with
Yeah,
my dad. It was the whole thing was great. It was a perfect day off. It was like 70 degrees in
it was
Boston.
beautiful, dude. It was
You couldn't
beautiful
ask
there.
for a better day.
Oh, I came
Like
home and I walked my dog today. It was wonderful.
it was great, dude. So, buddy, why don't we start bringing our guests on? We
All right.
have the Vogel Brothers with us today,
Yeah,
right? They
speaking of
are
beautiful weather and being outdoors in it, the Vogel
right.
brothers spend a lot of time outdoors. Why don't you give them a little intro and we'll
Yeah,
reel
they've
them
spent a
into the show.
lifetime searching of for Bigfoot, which we're gonna get into because we'll get into that.
We'll get into it. Yeah,
And other cryptids that exist out in Western Massachusetts wilderness. There's a lot of creatures out there in Western Mass. um,
especially in the Springfield area. But anyway, guys, go on.
oh, without a doubt. Tim is a ranger. Eric is a retired city employee and a guide for our adventures from our adventure education and outdoor recreation business. Tekoa Mountain Outdoors. We did backpacking, climbing, kayaking, and climbing. Whoop, they got me
I
twice
think
in
I threw
climbing.
extra words in there.
Yeah,
That's
it's
where
all
you're
right.
off. Yeah, yeah. It's
Some
all one
international
of those.
guiding in Ecuador, South
Ooh,
America. That's amazing. We're going to talk about
that's
that
huge.
one.
Yeah.
Sea to Summit expeditions for 30 days each. The Vogel brothers have been doing Bigfoot research and investigation since 2013 and have had some great stories about personal encounters and experiences with Bigfoot. Ooh, I
Mm.
like that. They've both had visual or Class A sightings. I'm intrigued. And various other potential Bigfoot experiences.
I want to
They've
know more.
also cast several different potential Bigfoot tracks they've taken over the years. So we've talked about some of the Bigfoot stuff, but for right now, why don't we bring on the Vogel brothers?
We'll bring them on and we'll hear what they have to say.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? How you
Good
doing,
evening,
guys?
gentlemen.
How you
Pretty
doing?
good. Pretty good.
Good.
Thanks
Thank
for
you for
having
joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get, I want to dive headfirst into this, but for our audience, anybody who doesn't know who Bigfoot is and how he became notorious here, especially in the United States. I'm going to play a quick 10-second video, refresh everybody's mind, and then we can dive into this. Here we go. There he is, or she.
Ooh.
Out for a walk. Going to get the paper. Gonna grab my coffee. Have some fish. Yeah. So that was the Patterson Gimlin film. That was what, gentlemen, the early 70s.
1967, October.
Fantastic. Out in Pacific Northwest, or is this in Massachusetts, or where was this taken?
Yeah, no, this is Pacific Northwest, Bluff Creek, out that way. Yeah.
Okay, and what are your feelings on this film? There's been a lot of skepticism, a lot of conjecture. People say you can see a zipper line. What do you guys think?
Well, it's never been that.
It's the best footage out there.
It is.
Bob Gimlin is, a true cowboy, true gentleman. It's legit.
We have talked to we've heard many people talk about it. We've talked to many people about it.
We've heard it from him himself.
Him himself sitting down having coffee. Bob himself.
Ooh.
That it's a real thing. You can't create it. You got to remember, 1967, it was, you didn't have that technology. It was black and white, reel to reel.
Right. You say an 8mm or
8mm. I mean, and I used to have one back then, and I'll tell you, when you're when you're on a horse and your horse almost knocks you off, and you see this, and you're trying to grab that camera to take a picture of it while it's walking away, and hanging on to your horse. I mean, tell you, there's a lot going on in a very, very short period of time.
Right.
And Bob saw it, got off his horse, and was looking at it through the scope of his rifle. And he said it didn't look like it was going to harm them in any way, shape, or form. It was more curious about them than they were, and it was walking away. And he says, I watched it plain as day. He says, and it was real.
So the guy who took the picture, Bob, he was out riding his horse hunting when was he looking for Bigfoot, and he happened to have the camera that captured like the Zapruder film of Bigfoot hunters.
They were. That's what they were doing. Actually, they were out looking for Bigfoot.
They'd been out for a few weeks.
Yep. And
they were in the right area, I guess. I don't know.
You got to be in the right place at the right time. That's what it all comes down to.
And a lot of luck.
Yeah, and a lot of luck. And they just happened to stumble upon it. I mean, it's like somebody stumbling upon something that's never been seen before, or the elusive mountain lion, especially here in New England. When you see it, it's probably maybe once in a lifetime thing. Yeah. So, not everybody sees it, and when you do, it's a rarity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We don't try to force people to believe what we saw. We just tell you the story. Do with it what you want.
I mean,
we're just going to tell you the story.
Yeah, if you were to sit down and talk with this gentleman and find out how authentic he really is, there's no way it was created. It's too far out, too elaborate to create something that to this day no one.
It's been
that no one says that they can create that. If it is a suit, they can't create it.
They've gone through it. They've gone
it's never been debunked
to the nth degree, and it hasn't been debunked. And
so, gentlemen, I have a question for you. I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to Bigfoot. When it comes to Bigfoot, is it just one creature, or is it like that's just kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, the type of animal that it is? Like, is there more than one Bigfoot? Like, is it just one of many, or is it just one actual Bigfoot all these years?
No. There's got to be more than one actual Bigfoot.
Dude.
Yep. So they're
better than Santa Claus.
But it's an actual question, man. There's a lot of people that don't know. They think it's the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And
it's one of those things that you got them down south, you got them out west, you got them out Pacific Northwest, Canada, Alaska. They're kind of all over the place down through North America.
Now,
And-
where has the most sightings been? Has it been the Pacific Northwest? Because that's what I read.
It's like a hot
Yeah.
spot.
Pacific Northwest, some in the Midwest.
I would say Pacific
Yeah.
Northwest would have the most.
Is there a reason for that? Do you guys know? Is it just like the
Just
the
the
kind of area that it
wilderness.
is? Okay.
Probably because
With
of
it-
the
with it-
wilderness. We could
Vast
take the
empty
state of
spaces.
Massachusetts and put it in most of the state parks out there,
Right.
Right.
you know?
Right.
Yeah,
It's
couple of times.
massive, massive.
So our wilderness is reduced to, where we actually research the October Mountain State Forest area. And that's, I believe, 17,000 contiguous acres.
Wow.
That's our biggest state park in the state. And we happen to live near it. And we've had numerous, October Mountain has a history of its own.
But
And
you
we
know,
have-
when you're talking thousands of acres compared to million,
Yeah.
you know, I would stay where I'm going to be more hidden than not. And I mean, food wise, maybe there's something out there that's keeping them there,
Yeah, just probably less pressure.
but there's less people.
Less pressure. They can go off and do squatchy stuff.
Squatchy stuff.
So what got
Right.
you guys? What got you guys started into the whole Bigfoot investigation?
1976.
Right.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was in November. We went to see a movie called Sasquatch, The Legend of Bigfoot. And it was in
Mhm.
76. It was in November. December rolls around, it's big snow, and it's December in Massachusetts, in Western Mass, and there's this. We go outside. We're going out to play. Whatever, shovel yards, make some
Mhm.
money. And
Yeah,
next thing you
back
know,
in the day.
there's tracks going through our backyard, big tracks, like foot tracks in our backyard. And we started following them, and they went on and on and on and on. So we went back the other way, and they went, as far as they could go to the river. It came out of the river, so this comes out of the Westfield River,
Yeah.
and it's about a mile from our house, half a mile from our house, where I guess it started, and then it walked up through.
Yeah, if you look this up, it's an actual report.
Yeah.
You can look it up. It's over in Agawam, Massachusetts. These footprints were in the woods, and they came through Robinson State Park. It came across the river. We came across the railroad tracks, and we were a half mile beyond that. And our backyard had an apple orchard. So they came walking through the backyard where the apple trees were, turned around and went back down into the ravine and followed the stream back out and across the railroad tracks, back across the river.
Yep.
Well, this whole time, over on the Agawam side, they turned around and they had the cops there, they had the state police there, they had all kinds of people over there. They had helicopters, they had everybody.
Mhm.
And then we showed up at our door. They showed up knocking, wanting to come into our backyard.
Yeah, they're staging in a private. It's a private property behind
Right.
us, and they staged up in the back. So we had the cops, the TV,
Investigators from California came out.
Wow.
people like us, investigators that came out and did some investigating.
You got to remember, and we were just kids. We were just teenagers. You know?
Yeah, this
Right.
Bigfoot. What the heck? That thing. What is a Bigfoot? We never heard of it before.
Yeah, that was a West Coast thing. That wasn't here.
It wasn't even a
Yeah.
thing. We never even heard of it until that movie.
Until that movie.
Until it was a couple of months. Never even heard of it.
But they turned around and for days they were in there and they were taking pictures, cast the whole 9 yards. And then they kind of all left. And then about a year later, I believe that police officer that was working that case, he turned around and found out that it was a hoax. One of the
Oh.
kids in the neighborhood turned around and made the feet so he could play a game on the kids in the neighborhood. But somebody must have saw that movie and saw those feet, and all of a sudden all hell broke loose. And
Right.
he kind of got scared, didn't say nothing. And then after a while, he says, I had to say something because it wasn't real. But, at the time, it was, he didn't say anything. Couldn't do anything. I mean, it was a hoax. That's what it was.
But it
But
really
no
didn't
one-
matter because we had
Yeah.
Bigfoot in our backyard, and that, the news and the
Every-
police, and
Mhm.
and at 13, 14 years old, what the hell's a hoax?
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah, right.
You know, we
So-
didn't think of that.
and we were guiding these guys down through the river
Yeah.
to the river because we weren't allowed to cross it at that point. It was frozen,
Yeah.
but we didn't cross it, and it was a big to do for a little
Mhm.
while. To do.
Most people when they start looking for Bigfoot, that's exactly what they're doing. They don't start out with a hoax.
Well,
to
this
get
just
them
was in our
started,
backyard.
Right.
But that's what kicked it in and got us looking into it. It was pretty wild.
For sure.
Doesn't
Well,
happen to many people,
Oh,
Right. So when you guys go out and you you talk about investigating Bigfoot, when you investigate as a ghost hunter, as a paranormal investigator, like we were talking about before the show, I bring a recorder, I bring a K2. This is what I was a K2. Ooh, a K2 device. Picks up on like EMF fields and stuff. This is what I was. You can buy it like for $90 online, but then you find it at Walmart for $20. Shop around, kids. You go out and use different tools, different techniques, I guess you could say, in investigating the paranormal. What are your techniques? What are your methods? What do you guys do?
We do a couple of different things. We have
Mhm.
track traps. We use cameras,
Mhm.
and that's the two primary things. We also set up lines that you'd have to be pretty tall to break, things like that. The track traps are real simple, and
Yeah.
pretty extensive in some of the areas that we have. We have a 1,300-acre property that we manage, and it's up. We have a drag. It's a drag mat. It's like a chain link fence over a dirt area, and we just keep it, dragged down so nothing grows on it, and it becomes, a ATV training area after a while. You go up there and ride the ATVs, and then, but it becomes a track trap. Anything coming through there is going to leave a track, and then we have areas where we've taken and kind of created.
Funnels.
Various like funnels down a trail where you would, if you're walking along and you see a briar or prickers or branches down, you're not going to walk into it. You're going to keep walking where it's easier to walk.
Just
And-
funnel them in.
I don't think they're that smart to think that they're going to walk through my guiding them into a track trap where they're going to be stepping on dirt, on a 15, 20 foot, 30 foot scratched out path. And it's just an iron rake. We go out there and scratch it up, hack it up with a hoe and a rake and scratch it up. And you'll find deer tracks, moose tracks, bear tracks, whatever tracks. They're going to come through.
We used about
Mhm.
7 cameras.
Yeah.
We used
Yeah.
the microphone that we were talking about earlier from Wally World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
We have TK Scouts,
Yep.
which are FLIRs.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah.
Little FLIRs. They're not too bad. They go out about 100 yards.
Right.
Nice.
The rain really does them in. Any of that kind of stuff
Yep.
we've
Yeah, of
experienced. They pixelate the image and it turns into garbage.
Mhm.
So they're limited, but you don't break out the $6,000 or $7,000 FLIR that they had in the rain.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we probably had pretty decent
Right.
stuff,
Yeah.
but we had that's another story. So pixel your gear. I guess what I'm getting at is your gear is limited.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
There's a lot of factors from batteries to environmental.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The woo sucking the life out of the batteries.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. We've had some of that strange stuff happen too.
What's
So
the woo? I'm sorry. I didn't know if you were gonna ask that, Brendan. I just needed to know the woo. What's the woo? Is that like Worcester? Is it Worcester related or what is it?
Yeah, it's sort of. It probably. Yeah, actually, Worcester's got a lot of alien and woo stuff out that way.
Oh, I bet.
So yeah, pretty out towards Worcester. But no, the woo stuff is it's all more supernaturals. It's it could be aliens, could be spiritual, supernatural.
Could be
Or
orbs.
sometimes you tie Bigfoot with an orb, and it,
Yep,
why
I've
you
heard
only
that.
get a couple of tracks like we have, and all of a sudden, poof, there's an orb, and you actually experience, witnessing a Bigfoot and then moments later an orb.
Hmm.
So there's all this
Yeah,
weird stuff.
I mean, you can only put 2 and 2 together and come out with 4.
No. I'm still a firm believer this thing is flesh and blood. I'm not crossing the line yet. I'm just not doing it.
Who's there?
There's a lot of coincidences. There's a lot of stuff, but something left that track, and there's some
Oh, yeah.
flesh and blood behind it. There's
Yeah.
enough stories, enough history to say that, there's flesh and blood behind this thing. And that's
Okay.
what we're trying to catch or capture, at least, potentially on film or get another
Right.
good look at it.
There's everything is speculation.
So, what kind of encounters have you guys had over the years?
Let's see. Whistling, rock throwing, trees being pushed over, knocks.
What do you mean? What do you mean whistling?
Whistles, high pitched whistles.
Hmm.
We had one time that was up on top of a mountain, and the whistle came up off the mountain. 20 people just came off the mountain.
It's 35.
And they went up to the top, and then when they came down, there was this whistle that sounded just like a siren.
Ooh.
Just on for about 6-7 seconds and then off.
Yep.
And there
Super
was
high pitch, just like
Nothing up there.
the highest tone you can get at a police car. Just what?
Yeah, just-
And
It's
then
crazy.
this group had just left the mountain at the very top, like you said. And
Hmm.
so there was nobody up there. It's a private property, private school, blah, blah, blah. There was nothing up there. There's no roads. There's one path up, one path down. And that's it. Done. And the rest would have to be bushwhacking and have to be messing with you to do something with that stupid thing and make one and done noise and be done
Yeah.
with it. It's just ridiculous.
So it
So
wasn't how it wasn't one of those wind up things. It
No.
wasn't one of them. It was just you flipped the light switch and it started, and then you flipped the switch again and it went on. And it was super loud from the top. And they all just looked at us like, what was that?
Hmm.
so you have incidences where there's really high tones.
Yeah.
And then we've had what we believe were juveniles up in
Yeah.
Savoy State Forest, which were just kind of tapping on the trees, wood knocks, tapping on the track. They weren't, Louisville slugger stuff. It was just like, hey, whack, whack, whack. And it
Just
was,
like a kid would do.
Right.
Just like a kid.
and the whistles were slow, or not. I got on wood knocks. It should have been whistles. They were. It wasn't a bird. It wasn't this and
No.
that. It was different tones. We know the 99% of the birds that are around here. We work outdoors. This is, none of them are these Barry White type birds that get out there and do these whistles, short bursts and really deep, and just short. Just it was anyway.
We've had tree shakes, shaking so bad that they were just like watching a snow globe.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. We've had
Pretty-
the reverb off of growling and howling and screaming that pushed us out into a lake almost 70 yards, and you could still feel it.
Wow.
Yeah, this thing was screaming, and you could feel the reverb like you were at a concert.
For about 15 minutes. It was crazy. So we've had all kinds of things happen.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten into a story, but those are different things that are,
Yeah.
typical experiences that people have or witness, or they call and they witness, things like that. And then we go off, and then we,
Try to recreate it. See if
So-
we
see
can
what's
get
going on
see if
with
we
it
can get it
anyway.
to happen to us. Just like when you go and you're looking for a ghost, you got to go to where other people are having the experience.
Of course, yeah. That's what you're
So-
doing. Right.
People call
They-
you guys, and then you guys go investigate the area and try to recreate what they saw or heard, and try to figure
Yes.
out if it was in fact like a Bigfoot kind of sighting.
Only if it's, we take the story on its merit. You're talking to people over the phone generally,
Right.
and they're telling you, or they're telling you what's going on. You try to figure it out. And if it's a visual and there's potential tracks and physical evidence, we're there. Just give us a call. We're there.
Right.
Simple as that. We'll be there. And in New England, literally.
Right.
And
Within a few hours.
yeah, I mean, and
Any
we'll be there.
direction.
And we've been there. We
Yep.
just came back from Narrowsburg, New York, and we're up here in Russell, Mass. So it's, we'll go if there's legit, or we believe legit, where we can come back with an evidence or something like
Hopefully,
that. But you know,
Mhm.
we're not going to take a random story. You know,
Yeah, I
oh,
mean,
well,
if you
we
say
did
you got a
this.
wood
Right.
knock, we're not going to come out, you know.
Hey,
Right.
people,
Say, hey, cool, put a recorder out there, you know.
yeah, encourage them to do the recorders, and you know, kind of like the citizen scientist.
We have a
thing.
good
Mhm.
friend of ours here that was doing that for a while. They would always call or text me and tell me that they got all this stuff going on. So I said, get a recorder. She got a recorder and put it out. She actually has a howl.
So if you guys get a
How-
phone call and you don't think like they have enough evidence, you guys ask them to do a little more research before you guys go out and start looking and all that stuff.
Sure.
Right.
That way there we know that they're really, it's, first of all, you know, it's not a hoax. It's
Right,
not,
right.
you know, they're not scamming you because they're actually going to go out and do it.
Yeah. Right.
Or
know,
they've got the
and
evidence
today-
already, and they've
right.
taken a picture of a track or this or that or the
Yeah,
other.
if they
thing.
have it, yeah. If we have to ask them to go out and do a little bit more, everybody's got a camera on their phone, so we always ask them to
Right.
take pictures.
Some do,
and
some
it
don't.
shows us that they're there. You know,
Some do, some don't. Some don't
Right.
want
Right.
to go back.
some people don't want to go back,
Different area, different location. You know, so it's, you know,
or they
different
had an
time frame.
experience and they refused to go back.
So,
So,
there's
okay, go ahead.
there's a lot of theories about Bigfoot. I was reading a lot about it. This is something that like I told you guys before, I'm a little skeptical on, but it's always intrigued me. Like it's always had my interest. What do you guys feel about the people that say it's more of a Neanderthal? So like a human, like left over from like the cave days and all that stuff.
Mm.
Like, do you guys subscribe to that theory, or do you guys think it's more of like a beast?
I think it's a Bigfoot. I think it's a Bigfoot, and I'm going with a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Until they prove it otherwise, they can say whatever they want. There's good reasons why they're saying this. I'm not, you know, just talking from the cuff, but there's, you know, I believe it's a Bigfoot. I don't think there's this crossover guy. I think this is its own species.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I
Definitely-
think.
Definitely in
That's
the
what
ape family, though. In the ape,
I would say it looks like an ape.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's groups, you know, the North American wood apes, stuff like that. They're trying to bring it in, and with their research is real good. There's a lot of people out there doing a lot of good work, and a lot of people that have had experiences. We all have had that really say it's more ape looking. It's
Yeah, right.
humanoid.
Physiologically, it looks like an ape.
It did
Right.
human-like things, but it was covered in hair, and you just saw a
Exactly.
unicorn, and you really don't know how to process it, and you know.
You got to remember, they find something new almost every day.
Science, yeah.
Science. They find something different, something that wasn't even supposed to be around. Is here.
Well, the fact
Yeah.
is, we've got
So it's
plenty
there.
of proof. They just don't want to hear
Right.
it, or they don't, you know, they just neglect to hear it.
Yeah.
There's plenty of proof out there. Be
Yeah.
it the tracks, the sightings, the historical sightings.
Too
There's-
many people have seen something.
Yeah. It's just on that basis alone that warrants further investigation. And
Right.
we're just doing it because we want a better.
Hey, you got to
we want a better
remember,
experience.
they're just coming out now telling you about UFO.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
they're just
kind of.
coming out now telling you about them.
I don't need them to
So-
tell me about Bigfoot.
Here they are
There.
saying that you know that they got some evidence, and they're just not going to say it for a while. That's all.
Screw them.
Do you think that they live in one location, like settle into a location, or live in multiple places, or vacation in different places? Ooh, see, visit scenic Alaska for a good Bigfoot vacation experience. What do you guys think? Are they migrators? Are they sedentary? Do they find like one area and stick to it? Are they like every other mammal and almost every other animal on this planet where they move throughout the globe, throughout the hemispheres?
Well, there's
Yeah.
not a lot of migratory down in the lower 48. There's not a lot of migrations. There's birds, things like that. Yes.
Yeah,
Large
birds,
mammals.
fish.
Large mammals, not so much like Canada where we have caribou, things like that actually
Yeah.
move in a landmass and things like that. Now, I don't know. At first, I don't believe there's that many, period. I don't think there's that many. So when you see one,
Right.
you just hit the lottery. And if you've seen it more than once, well, you score, go get a ticket, because I just don't believe there's a lot. And I believe they don't travel like that. I don't think they migrate. I think they
Okay.
get used to an area, and they kind of settle in like any other mammal. They have an area. It might be 1,500 square miles. It might be 30,000 square miles. I don't know. I really don't know.
No,
But,
you get them out in like China and out in the Himalayas. They call the Yeti. Would that be like the same species, you think, or is that a different species? Are they all the same category, or what do you think?
probably all in the same. It's the same pair of pants, different pocket.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say it's
You know what
in
I
the
mean?
same category
Yeah, different
Yeah.
subspecies, different species. You know, we
because
got-
other countries have had them.
you know, we're all different.
Yeah, right.
You know,
that's true. That's
even
the way
you
it
know, geographically, you know, we look different, we talk different. There's size differences. There's a lot of differences, just the way it is. So there would be the same thing potentially in there.
Mhm.
A lot of people equate size with, you know, like small deer down in Florida, things like that. They don't have to struggle
Environment.
with it. We come up
Yeah.
north and you have some big deer. The
Yeah, we do.
environment requires it. You know, your body has to be big. You have to be able to withstand temperatures. You got to be able to
Mhm.
sustain a winter, low feed, things like that. You got to be able. You got to be tough. Live out in the woods out here in New England.
Oh
You
yeah.
know?
Oh my God.
Any
Yeah, it gets cold.
any winter snow environment like that. You know, these
Mhm.
animals are eating bark and buds. You know, when they start getting 6, 7, 8, 10 feet deep of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
they're not taking off the ground.
So what do you guys say to the people that say there's no like tangible evidence, like they haven't physically caught one, they haven't, you know, they can't put their hands on it, they haven't physically seen it, so they don't believe.
There's no poop.
That's
There's no
okay.
fur.
Yeah.
But that's okay. They don't have to believe.
Yeah. No, that's I hope first they need to get off the couch and get out there and see it. That's the best place to find a Bigfoot.
Boots on
Is
the
get
ground.
out there and do something. And it could be a fun bike ride with your family in a park.
Yeah.
It could be down by a river on a canal. Could be anywhere. Could be anywhere. We get reports, not just we nationally. There's reports out there that are everywhere.
All
I mean,
over.
Right.
all walks of
There
life.
are a lot of groups.
I mean, there's better places, better environments, but we've seen quasi-urban,
Yeah.
you know, landscapes where, you know,
Yeah.
what's a Bigfoot doing in there? You know, but somebody saw this thing in a marsh that might have walked down a track through a city and, you know, through a
Mhm.
canal, a narrow greenway or some way, and they managed to get
Yeah.
in there. You know,
Typical animal instinct.
you know, eating the neighbor's dogs
Yep.
and stuff like that. Whatever.
True.
Do you guys have an experience that sticks out more than any other when it comes to hunting a Bigfoot or seeing one or anything like that?
Yeah.
Like what? Any kind of experience?
Sure do. Got a class A.
Oh, good.
What?
Oh,
Now, what
classic.
exactly is that for our listeners?
A visual. I was with 15 other people. 12 of other people, and 2 of us saw it.
Now, where was this?
Other people heard whistling. Other people heard clapping or knocking.
It was an expedition.
We were on an expedition. There were 12 of us. We all went out. It was raining. It rained for 4 days. And
Jeez.
what's up?
Yeah, that's rough.
It-
That's being outside.
It rained for 4 days. Everything was green. This was in June, you know, and the woods was really quiet.
Mhm.
And 2 guys, we got out, and we started going. We're in Savoy, Mass, and we're walking in. Some people stayed in their car because it was still raining, and we said okay. So we walked in. 2 guys lagged
Mhm.
behind because they like to watch the group to see if the group is being watched. And his
Mhm.
father and son team had a GoPro, so they went up in front of us to see if they could just scan it before 12 other people showed up behind them. So they
Mhm.
were up in front of us. We got up to this place called Balance Rock, and we asked if anybody wanted to, you know, make a howl or a whoop or whatever. And this young boy says, "Sure, I'll do it." So we let him, you know, we had him do it, and he did a whoop. And immediately after the whoop, the 2 guys that were behind us came up and says, "Hey, we just had whistles back here." The gentleman, the father and son team up in front of us turned around, and he sent the son back, and he says, "Hey, we just got claps up in front of us." So 12 of us kind of walked into the woods, and we kind of spanned out from each other, almost like a 45. And we're all standing there and we're all looking around trying to see if there was anything there. So what I did was I was standing on this rock and I have an orange rain jacket. And everybody else had a dark colored rain jacket. So I stuck out like, just like a sore thumb. Right. And I was on this rock and I was looking out and I said, geez, if I was hunting and I wanted to see something, I'd bend down and I would look. Well, I bent down, and when I bent down, this thing bent down. And I said, what was that? So I leaned like I was trying to look around the leaves to see if I could get a better look. Yep. And this thing moved. And when I stood up, it stood up. I went, holy crap. And I pointed and I started running at it. Well, unbeknownst to me, was the guy beside me. The guy was like 40 yards away from me, but he was on a different angle than I was. And there was a guy between us, another guy with a GoPro. And if you look at his frame, I was over to the left, the other guy was to the right on a different angle. And we came into the exact same frame on the GoPro, running at this thing. When we got to there was a tree laying down. When we got to this tree, and the other people came up behind us, they said, hey, did you see it? And he said, yeah. He says, I saw the legs. I said, I teeter-tottered with it. I saw it from the waist up. And we looked around. We couldn't find anything. So we kind of left after that. And I came back, and Tim here was teaching a fishing class. Him and I are always Bigfoot. So when this happened, I was like, oh, crap, he's not even here. He won't believe this. So I said, you got to come back with me. So we go back. I take him to the spot where it all happened. It's the very next day. And we stood on the rock, and I had my rangefinder, and we brought a ruler, a tape measure. And I had him walk out, reenacted it, had him walk out to where I saw it, to the tree. It was 40 to 45 yards away. Wow. He put his hat on the ruler and kept going up, and I had him stop. It was almost 9 feet tall. It was about 4 feet wide. It was like looking at a sheet of plywood, a big black piece of plywood. Jesus. He came around the tree, and he goes, oh, my God, look at this. This footprint, hopefully I can do it and it'll come out right. This footprint right here. This is the heel back here where my hand is here. Yeah. Let's see if I can do. See that heel right there?
Yeah. Let me make you guys really big. Hold on. I think
That's the impact. That's the impact. That's the 3.5 inches deep in the soil. Strike. And the front up here, whoops, there it is. The top it's hard to see it in that little picture, but the footprint. Oh, there you go. If you see it, here you go. There it is right there.
Okay. So that's the heel. Okay.
Heel is cool. Yeah.
That's pretty big. That's a big foot.
This is 17.5 by 8.5.
Wow.
That's how big that is.
What do you use to make the castings for that foot?
That foot there was made with dental stone. Okay. We normally use plaster, but we took that picture. I mean, we took that cast, Tim and I. Yeah. 7 feet away from that cast was a partial cast. There was a second cast, and normally you don't get to. That's hard to find.
Yeah, it was the ball of the foot, and it turned into more of a push off.
It hit the toes went on that step. He hit a root. And the toes were on the root. You literally could see where it took the bark off of the root. Wow. And we ended up with a shorter cast that was the exact same depth as the other foot. So it was the same creature.
Right.
So I called my buddy. I called our buddy and I says, hey, you got to come out here. We got to get a cast. He says, well, I'm on my way to a baseball game. I said, dude, you got to come. This is for real.
This is how we got this cast.
So this is how we got that cast. So we turned around, drove out. He says, all right, I'll be there. We drove out. We waited for him to show up. We get in this truck and we're driving in. We couldn't have drove in maybe 50 yards, and up to our right, up on top of the mountain, there was this bellowing, howling, screaming creature roaring out at us or at somebody, at something else, to let them know that we were here and we were coming back.
It was up top of the mountain. It was roaring.
It was unbelievable.
Of course, we didn't have any recorder. We were going back to do some
Yeah, we were
casting, not thinking, I just didn't have that stuff. And actually, it was in the beginning of our Bigfooting, so we didn't have all that stuff.
That's the first time that's ever happened, to have that.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But we got back there and that cast was right there. The guy came out, he says, wow, I can't believe that.
Hmm.
But that's it right there. It was 40 yards when I saw it.
Wow.
9
So,
feet
yeah.
tall.
So that's
And I was a skeptic for the longest time. I tore apart everything because our job was being out in the woods, and we still tear it apart today.
Not everything's a Bigfoot.
Yeah, right. Not everything is a Bigfoot. But when I saw it, when I teeter-tottered with it, that's what really blew my mind.
I'm not dead set against it. I think there's a real possibility that there is a Bigfoot. It just really interests me, and like I would just like to see one.
To be honest, I think there were 3.
There's a lot of people who would like to see one, I think.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
always
to be
been one of
honest,
those things that it's never been a definite one way or another for me. But it, like doing this, it's always like interesting to hear your encounters and your hunting experience, and because you've done more than I have in regards to hunting a Bigfoot,
Oh,
obviously.
for sure. Right.
Well,
So,
I
like,
don't
I like
hunt,
to,
I look for
yeah, right.
them.
I
But,
mean, I
you know,
couldn't even
it's
imagine trying to hunt that thing.
Just do it a camera.
Yeah, I believe there were 3. I think the 2 guys that were behind us heard the whistles from one. The knocks or the claps that were up in the front were from another, and we happened to get the one in the middle. I believe there were 3 that day.
No, what do the claps sound like? Are they just indistinct claps, or are they like thundering loud? Are they
Or
just
take
regular
2
claps?
rocks, hit them together.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Because I was doing some reading about it, and they talked about the high pitched screeching that you guys have talked about. Like it sounds like a siren. And then I heard something about the clapping, but it didn't go into kind of what it sounds like, or like if it was distinct in any manner or anything like that.
Sounds like clapping.
Yeah.
It sounds just like clapping, except these things got some pretty big mitts, and
Right.
when they wail on it. They put out a percussion, and it's a
That
loud
hands,
noise.
their hands. If you ever seen the cast, it's about the size of a catcher's mitt, if not
Right.
bigger. So if you take 2 of those and you slam them suckers together, just imagine the noise you're going to get out of that. That's the
This
cast
thing here, that's the foot that you were just holding up, right?
foot.
The cast of the foot. That'd be great if that was the foot itself.
Yeah.
So something
Yeah,
like
if
this.
it was their cast, but that is what it is. That we believe is a juvenile.
That's really cool. That's a pretty big foot for a juvenile. Where did you guys get this?
It's not
Well, first off, we don't know if there's a lot of juvenile casts out there.
right.
This one here came from the same area. It was Savoy State Forest. It was Labor Day, 2022. 2022, yeah. And it was Labor Day again. It was raining, and we happened to be going up. We were going fishing, actually. That's how the story starts. We were out fishing, and we got to our fishing hole, and it was taken. So we went squatching. So we went on a squatch ride. We did our regular route off. Out here in Western Mass, there's a gazillion dirt roads, back roads, country roads.
Oh
this
yeah.
road.
Oh yeah. I believe it.
And they're just slow, 25, 30 miles an hour. We'll go on 3-4 hours. Squatch ride, and it's just all back
Squatch
roads.
ride.
Blacktoppers here and there. And for the most part, you're in the woods.
Yeah.
But when we went there that day,
Yeah.
it was raining.
Yeah.
We went out and we crossed the stream. We started walking in, and we were just getting these little noises.
Yeah.
And at first, it was hard to even figure out what it was, because it just didn't sound right. It could have been rain. It could have been anything. And then all of a sudden, these little pebbles or acorns started coming towards you. It was like, what is going on? So we walked in a little further, and we could still hear the taps. And they were just little taps, like little kid taps.
Yeah.
So we turned around. We walked back out to the car. We said, "Man, we're gonna go talk about this for a second.
What the heck,
What just happened there?" So we go back out to the car or the truck. We're sitting there. I grab my recorder.
New batteries.
Brand new batteries. Take them out of the package, up to date and everything. Took them out of the package. I stuck them in. We walk out there. We get up around the first corner. Same thing starts up again. They start throwing little pebbles,
Little whistles.
yeah.
Wow.
This is raining, you're not getting many birds in the rain. It's,
Right.
maybe a couple over there, but this was whistles and taps on trees. It wasn't like Louisville slugger stuff. It was just tapping, and it was multiple directions. So there was multiple things, whistling and tapping, and potentially
tossing.
throwing little
Yeah.
pebbles and rocks or acorns at us. And really that you could tell because it sounded different when it hit the ground. It wasn't rain. It was
Right.
more. It's just a little heavier. That's all. That was all.
Yeah, that's definitely weird. I've heard of that with spiritual encounters where rocks were flying through or they thought it was spiritual. They were in Rhode Island and they were in a woodsy area. They were crossing a dam and they saw phantom lights. Then rocks were being thrown at them, and they just took off. They assumed it was just haunted, but it could have been Bigfoot, I guess.
Well,
kinda cool.
yeah. Who knows?
It's a possibility.
Right.
I mean, you're looking for one and you're getting another.
So
Yeah,
we go up.
right.
This is the second time we've gone up. Now it's the taps got closer, the whistle got louder, and we turned around and left. And maybe we ought to just get out of here. They don't want us here. This is our, get out of here, thing. And and so we just left. We said, okay, that's it, we're done, and we're out. And we get back, and we went down and got to the truck, beat feet, got out of there, and went to a diner. There was a little diner on Route 9, I believe.
Yep.
Route 9, a little diner.
It was down in Cummington.
Yeah. And we go there and we had lunch, breakfast. I think it was steak and eggs.
Talked ourselves into some more courage.
Yeah. Talk ourselves into getting that, go back out and figure out what we just kind of just talking about what we experienced and just ask, let's just go try it and then we'll go check it out one more time. We get thrown out.
Right.
The recorder had died. We went back and listened for the recorder. New batteries, nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Completely dead.
And it was running, but there was nothing. The batteries were dead. It was on, but there was nothing.
It was crazy, but it was.
It potentially wiped out brand new batteries as well. When we got back, we went all the way up, all the way to the top. And we found two casts, or we found two tracks in this pond. Not really a pond, it's a mud hole.
It's a mud hole.
It's a mud hole, big area that.
It's the only mud hole there.
Yeah.
And if you're going to get a track, that's where you're going to get it because it's the only one. It's a good size.
Yeah.
It's a good size mud hole.
What we would consider a track trap.
Yeah, track trap.
So we had. This is our third time up the mountain. Yeah. We get all the way up top of the mountain, and all of a sudden, there it is. There's a handful of tracks. A lot of them are junk, really, because they're slipped and sketched out. Just whatever. It just wasn't castable. And we had two that were really good, that were castable. One was the one you just shown on this podcast here.
Yep.
That little one I call the juvenile. And we have another one. Grab that one.
You see the toes on that?
Yeah.
They go. Now we took that cast.
Yeah, that's very.
We took that cast and took the pictures, and I sent them off to Dr. Meldrum because we do our due diligence and wanted our best foot forward with this stuff. And because it's small, it's as big as my foot. It's within the realm of a person's foot. And what he did say was, he can't say it's a Bigfoot because it has characteristics of a human, because
Right.
it's a small, narrower foot. Didn't have a big heel. On that one in particular, there's a rock. When we took the cast, there's a rock where you would have seen the heel would have slipped down because of the rock. It would have just slipped down, gave it that odd shape in the back, and that's where it cast up to.
I think
But
I think I might have that.
we didn't give him any of that. We didn't give him any backstory. We just said, "Hey, Dr. Meldrum, check these out. Tell us what you think." And he said, "Hey, Tim, nice, but I'm not really fully satisfied. But it's got some pretty cool characteristics, especially the toes and the wide
toes are
top
cool.
on the foot." And that was the extent of it. So, we didn't impress Dr. Meldrum with that cast, but, given the context of the story, the knocking, the movement we were having, then we have this cast here that was taken along with it. And that basically has no, there's no, it's just a belly into it. So there's a top and a heel. So there'd be with the mid-tarsal break. But again, it's small. It's you can see toes right there. That's 1.5 inches deep in the dirt. I don't know if you could step 1.5 inches deep in the dirt, but there it is, right there. There's toes right there.
Yeah, we haven't heard many juvenile prints, if any.
So there's
There's
cool
not many to go by.
break in there. You can see that's pretty steep and deep in there for the break. It's hard to do it with the cast here, but regardless, they're narrow, they're human size. So yay or nay, they happen to be there. The cool thing about that cast is not only did we find it after or during this experience, but the cast or the track when we found it, this is 4 days of rain, mind you. It had a dry heel and footbed. There was no water in this track.
If you've ever stepped in a mud puddle, or your dog or somebody steps in a mud puddle and you see the print, it pushes everything out and it stayed dry. That's exactly the way that was when we found it.
Yeah, there's no
It was
water
that
settled
fresh.
into it. So yeah, it wasn't like it was sitting there overnight, collected rain. This and it was right next to the track or right next to the puddle. So it would have taken on water and it didn't. It's simple as that. So some things, you don't, it just happened while we were there. We just happened to see, hey, look at this. This thing is actually dry and it's right next to a puddle within a ridge of water that's creating a dam between the puddle and the track. Literally inches from water to the track, and it's squished dry.
And if if you Google Savoy, Google
I have Savoy up here. I can bring it up. I can show you what you're talking
you're out
about.
in the middle of nowhere. For after all that rain, 4 or 5 days of rain,
Here we go.
there's no way you got a little kid running around out there in the middle of the woods barefooted. You'd have to
At
prove
least
that
not moments in front of us, because there's one trail in and a snowmobile trail out or a hiking trail out, and there was no tracks in any of those areas at all. There was no evidence of this thing, whatever made these tracks in that area. So it simply didn't travel in that area. It went back through the woods, directly through the woods, through the puddle, into the woods. And it didn't go down any side trails. It would have had to come past us, or they would have had to come past us, because this is clearly two different individuals, two different tracks, not making the same. There's a little difference in size. The foot box in the front of the other one is clearly different than the one I have here. Two different tracks. So it's just telling me it's two different individuals. We just got through telling you that we believe there was multiple juveniles, wood tapping and knocking and whistles coming from multiple directions, and we're pushing them in this direction, which only leads to me to believe that we pushed something through that mud puddle, and this is the result. Whether we like it or not, this is the track that we got from that experience, period. Bigfoot or not, that's the tracks we got during that experience. So it was still pretty cool nonetheless. So
it was an experience for sure.
That was that night. It was still raining. We covered the tracks with birch bark and limbs. and we built a tripod over the tracks so that an animal wouldn't walk through it to disturb it. It would walk around it. Same reason why we use them for guiding Bigfoot into a track trap. You know, you build an obstruction, they'll go around it. So, you know, they're not that smart. It's a deer. They'll just go around it. You know, they don't know there's a track under there that they're going to ruin. So we did that. Our plan was,
We actually came back the following morning. We got there about 6 o'clock. We tried to get there before the little ones would wake up. That's what I said. I said, maybe we'll get there before they wake up and they won't throw us out again. So we got our stuff, took off. We went in there and we got up to the mud hole and the bark was still there. So we took the bark off. The print was still there. It was empty, no water. And
no, we actually had to dab some water out of the heel at that point, but we covered it. It was dry.
Right.
Well, you had the morning water, but not the puddle water, which was right there.
Yeah.
So I mixed up the plaster and I threw it in there and got that thing going. We got that hardening, and then we kind of walked up to where I had my experience. Into the woods while this was hardening.
This is all in the same area.
Yeah,
he had his Class A within the same area.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, that was gonna be my next question too.
Where the young kid turned around and made his howl is where these tracks came from.
Yeah.
Right there. In the woods, we walked into the woods. I stood on the same rock that day as I did when I saw mine.
Talking about his experience at that time.
I was, I explained the whole thing, you know, just like it happened that day. And then all of a sudden we're standing there and we hear this one solid wood knock. It was the Louisville slugger of all hits.
That was
Bam, it hit that tree. Not another noise.
Moment later, moments.
Moments. All you heard the woods. Something was out there on the ground in different locations. And whatever it was, stood up and just started moving.
Now, why do you think they knocked? Do you think that they're just giving warning and trying to scare away whatever predators are coming their way?
We believe that knock was to let them know, get up and get out because you got people. That's what we think happened.
We're Monday morning quarterback.
That's the way it seemed to us, you know. After we grabbed all of our casts and everything and took off, we got a chance to talk about it. And that's what we believe happened. It was them telling the kids, okay, that's it. Let's go.
Yep.
Now,
they probably had they had a lookout, a sitter or a lookout, maybe. Who knows? You know, the Bigfoot babysitter said
it was definitely an adult because when you heard that knock, it was a knock. It was.
Yeah. It wasn't
a little kid. It wasn't a little kid. It was a slug.
And just moments after that, like you said,
stood up. And
there was a lot of noise and it just from multiple directions, and it just went away from us. Whatever they were or whatever was making the noise was clearly going away from us, but there was plenty of noise, and we went the other way.
No trees moving. Whatever it was, you didn't get trees moving. You didn't get any of that. You could just hear them moving.
Yeah, a lot of the area we're in is
it was just small
growth.
Yeah, it's all lines.
Yeah, it's all new growth. There's been recent logging stuff like that in there, so it grows back real thick. If you're ever, out there, a recent growth will come back. You'll have white pine growths in spurts.
Yeah, all
and there'll be 400 white pines in like 30 feet. And you can't. It's just so thick. Well, you get the same thing with pines or maples or birches, and that's what this new growth stuff looks like. It's real thick. So when we say it happened 50 yards in, you ain't going to see 50 yards in. As simple as that. The greenery, the trees, the shrubs, the different structures within, from ferns.
If you've ever been in the woods, you whatever it was, we could not see it,
but you could hear it.
You could hear them, you just couldn't see them.
So it was multiple different things.
And we took off, man. We just got our stuff and
got out of there.
Took off.
Couldn't see nothing anyway.
And that's what that dried out. That's what we got. We didn't even know what we had until we actually got them home.
Yeah.
So, do you guys know, to your knowledge, if there's ever been like a Bigfoot attack towards people? Because everything I've ever heard was that they run away from, they try to get away from whatever's looking for them.
Yeah,
so I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're aggressive creatures, but they're such big animals that you'd figure at one point they may like attack.
Potentially.
I mean,
But there's never been like an official attacking, like
No, there's been official attacks.
Yeah, that's
Ape
what they
Canyon,
Mm.
before
Yep.
Ape Canyon in was it Mount St. Helens out that way?
Ape Canyon. Mount
Yeah,
St.
they're
Helens.
throwing rocks down at the cabin, trying to destroy it and whatnot.
Hmm.
So there's definitely been attacks. There's other.
We've had rocks thrown at us. I wouldn't call it attacking.
Yeah,
I
I
would
was
say
gonna
they're just
say,
trying to get you the hell out of there.
we had lesser violent things.
You know,
We've
they
been
don't want you
escorted out of the woods.
Many
It
times.
happened
Oh.
twice with juveniles. We
Yeah.
believe they followed us out. We have a broken branch around here. It's a twist. It's a tree twist, and we actually cut it, brought it back, and did a full twist and a half to it, which was the impressive part because it had, something had to make
Yeah.
that twist.
Right.
a
Right.
Twist. It was green when we cut it.
This kind of blows my mind. I originally in the show when we first started, you had me like believing like it was just an ape. It was a beast. It's a creature. Now you're talking about a warning system, a lookout, motor skills to throw a rock at distances accurately and hit somebody. This sounds more human-like. I mean, not to say it's a human, but I mean, it seems like more a closer
it's got characteristics of a human.
of a human for sure, rather than like
You
a
come from the ape
monkey or an
family,
ape,
right?
you know,
Um,
a little bit more
No, I think-
organized.
I think what we do is we tend to humanize creatures
Right.
because we don't know how to explain their behavior, so we humanize it and make a
Right.
similarity to what we do, and then all of a sudden that becomes a reality because there's no other way. Well, I've seen deer out in the middle of the snowstorm, 40 below, and they just lay down under a pine tree in a mountain, or an elk. They're not building shelters or running around doing any of that.
All animals have
Moose.
their own warning system.
True,
Right.
True.
Birds, groundhogs, they all have their own warning system.
Yeah, when you're walking through the woods, they
Making a
let you-
yell and clapping and knocking on a tree, that's just how they communicate.
Right.
You know?
Right. Maybe because they're human, like it just comes off as
not-
more coordinated. In my own.
Granted, they stand up on 2 feet, and they'll. I don't go and eat bark and buds, but they will.
True.
They have to live. They have to stay alive.
So is there any, I don't want to say assumptions of what their diet would be, but is there any like knowledge to what they would be eating?
There's evidence or proof, or no, let me back that up.
Yeah.
There are reports of people seeing and witnessing this stuff. So
Right.
you take it at face value, you do a report, you say it. If these people that have done the reports and seen the body parts of the remnants and things like that, maybe they have. I personally don't know. I could tell you that
Or
there
maybe
are
they
reports
saw
of
it, a visual, and they saw it actually
Yeah.
eating it.
carrying a deer in. There's
Yeah.
been hunters that lose a deer to a
Yeah.
Bigfoot because they recognize the shot, and then they associate it. So it's
Yeah,
almost
right.
a symbiotic relationship. Bigfoot hears the
Yep.
shot, all of a sudden that means food. They come find the
Right.
hunter, takes your deer.
Now,
Who knows?
put that into the animal world, and you have the coyotes. Coyotes get a kill. If you ever heard coyotes and a kill, it's a crazy noise. They're all going at it, all
It's a
making-
celebration. You're yelling
Bigfoot hears
straight-
that, he's gonna say, "Oh, hey, free meal."
Right. When you said that, it kind of reminded me of like the hyenas that follow the lions around for when the lions
Yes.
get the kill, they come in and
Yep.
they swoop it up.
Yep, same thing.
Hmm.
I agree with that.
Interesting.
That's
Interesting.
amazing.
I think they just about and anything and everything that they can get.
Yeah, omnivore, they'll eat the trash can to the tuna can to, the parsnip.
So there's like no specific diet that we know of right now. It's just whatever they can get their hands on, they're going to eat it to survive.
I believe that. We've got reports that a woman reported one coming out of a dumpster at the Granville. Well, in Granville, Mass. And this thing was coming out of a dumpster. What's it eating? I don't know. I can tell you that there's thrown apples. The history. They make cheeses. They got a lot of apples.
Garbage,
Regular
cut
trash.
meat, everything.
Could be anything. Anything. So an opportunist is what I'm hearing, or really talking about. An
And
opportunist.
just think of a bear does the same thing.
Right.
Same
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah,
Now-
they're scavengers.
Yep.
Sure, yeah.
And they'll eat bark, buds, ants, everything.
Yeah. I mean, we like to see, he just told you he saw a 9-foot Bigfoot as big as a sheet of plywood.
Wow.
They're telling us they rough up the numbers to about a 900 foot, 900
900
pound
pounds.
animal. So if that's the case, it's going to sustain calories and a caloric intake. And there's a whole bunch of science and energy and stuff that has to go into that creature to keep it functioning at a sustainable rate, which means it has to be pretty successful most of the time. And I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you that they're not, and they don't. I'm going to put them more in a realm where, at least here, they go off like a moose. I believe their diet is more like a moose. It's more vegetarian, more ape-like. I just think they're more like a moose, where they can eat bark, buds, grasses, things like that.
During the winter, you have to be able to eat something.
Yeah, moose don't eat. They're not gaining grass. They're eating barks and buds. I could go out and show you the scrapes on the trees from their teeth. And they eat the minerals from the bark.
Right.
So I believe that a Bigfoot would probably do the same. Deer do it. Bears do it. Why not a Bigfoot? They will eat the buds. So there's some sort of caloric nutritional value, because a moose grows 1,200 pounds. It'll grow 6 foot at the shoulder and grow a rack every single year and lose it every single year. And its diet is bark, buds, grasses, some water plants as well. So, it's greens, it's vegetarian. They may eat a mammal, if it kind of ticks them off, goes after the calf, might whack a fox or something with a hoofer. It might eat it out of, just agitation. It might actually start to eat it. But generally, it's just a vegetarian.
When it comes to food, I think it'll just eat whatever it can get. I do. It's got to survive.
If it can grab a bear or a deer or whatever, I think it would.
I think after a while they get pretty accurate at throwing rocks.
Yeah.
Maybe they use that as a weapon. We use a gun, they use a rock.
Yeah.
So there's a full database online. I was reading about it earlier, and one of the recent encounters that I saw was one in Missouri, where a woman was in her RV and she consistently heard over the course of like 3 nights, like rocks hitting the RV, and then there was tapping at the windows. And then when she would like go out the door and like shout or whatever it was, she said she heard a growl, and it was like a growl that she's never heard before. And she got scared and like locked the door. And it seemed like the Bigfoot, like it would be like a Bigfoot like creature, because she said she saw something in the distance that it was bigger than anything that she's ever seen before. But it seemed like it was like just telling her to get out of its territory, pretty much.
Very, very, very possible. I mean, there's not many creatures that throw things at you.
Right.
Yeah.
Just give me that. There's not many creatures that are going to throw things back at you.
That's true.
It will sit a response and then hit your house. Eric and I have been, we've been on the receivership of a softball-sized rock, golf ball-sized,
Wow.
Pin, something like that.
Pinball-sized ball, bowling ball.
Or it was a rock came through the trees, but that's how big it was. So they throw. We believe they throw stuff. There's not too many things out there that will, and I just have to be schooled.
But
or
to answer
educated
your
in what
question,
does.
could it have been a Bigfoot? Yeah, it's possible. Could have been. I don't know. I wouldn't say a bear if it's throwing rocks.
Yeah, the rock throwing is a whole
That's what
different.
separates.
Pretty advanced. Yeah, that's a little bit more advanced.
Thumbs.
Well,
Try to pick it up.
raccoons throw baseballs and
So-
things like that. I don't buy it.
It's just not going to happen. So maybe it was. Why was it doing it? Who knows?
Could have been a prankster. I don't know
Right.
much more about the story, but that you take people at face value on what they tell you, and that's it. If she says she's got stuff being thrown at her trailer, if Eric and I received that phone call and this woman told us that they were throwing rocks and things like that, we would probably go up and check in a circle pattern around the camper for any kind of physical evidence, be it the stones that were thrown that we could be bagging and potentially send off to some of this new DNA labs down in North Carolina, and then you might find something,
You might find hair.
hair in wrapped up in the tree limbs, things like that.
So that was my next question. Has there ever been like hair that has been found that has been identified as like a Bigfoot like creature?
It's come back unidentifiable.
Yeah.
Unidentifiable, right?
Hmm.
Because they don't have anything to base that off of to say that it is this creature.
Right.
Exactly. What does that tell you?
And if it comes to grizzly bear, and it's the good thing is people are finding the hair, paying attention. Number one, collecting it hopefully in a good manner, because there's ways to do it.
Right.
Because I mean, here we're chasing
you don't
Bigfoot. You don't want to make your
contaminate anything that you might actually have evidence of.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it sounds goofy, but it's a scientific method, and we do our due diligence. We put out blood. If there's something serious, we're going to do our best.
We've heard of hair. We've heard of scat. That comes back unidentifiable.
Yeah.
So.
And people are sending us pictures all the time.
Oh yes.
What's this? What's that? And we do our best to try to identify it. Kind of challenges us sometimes when it's we're talking about poop and scat and the bear with the runs, or goose poop.
So you guys mostly do like the Western Mass and New England area? Have you guys I don't want to say hunted, but have you gone searching for Bigfoot in like maybe the Pacific Northwest, or like what are the other areas that you guys have tended?
No, I haven't been lucky enough to get over there yet.
No, we've been in Maine, New Hampshire, did Vermont, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. So we've been around most of New England.
Yeah, like we said, we just came back from New York. So
yeah.
Wow. So guys, cryptids are not just restricted to Bigfoot. Cryptids are like, you got the Jersey Devil. We had on an author a few weeks back, Chris Palazzano. He was talking about what was it, Brendan? The Puckwudgies. You got the Puckwudgies. You got the Chupacabra. Do you guys subscribe to all this stuff? Do you hunt this stuff? Do you involve yourself into that cryptid world, or are you just stuck on Bigfoot?
Well, you saw that big breath, right? You're gonna make us jump in the deep end with that one. No, the deal on that is we believe in Bigfoot, and if these people are telling me they're seeing this weird stuff, Dogman. That's I some pretty decent people that have had experiences with this thing, and I'm like, nah, dude, really? You're like, yeah. So I'm not going to get in their stories or their names, things like that. But that's a reach.
You got to remember, when you have an experience that you could be one in a bazillion people to have, how do you explain it to somebody?
We had a Bigfoot experience.
It's like people that say that they were brought up by UFO,
abductions and things like that,
and stuff, and then the guy comes back and he's trying to tell somebody, and they're like, what?
Yeah, no, I give everybody their due diligence. There's some crazy sounding stuff out there, really crazy.
Oh, of course.
God forbid I ever run into it. I really hope I don't.
Mothman, there's all the Moth Boy. There's all sorts of new ones popping up every week. I can't keep up.
And I've heard more. Bigfoot is very mild compared to all of the rest of them.
Right.
From what I've heard.
Yeah, the shapeshifters, the Rougarous.
They'll attack you. Bigfoot just kind of stays away, plays games.
Right.
Yeah. No,
he likes to throw stuff.
We don't dive deep into the other stuff. It's time
to have a hard enough
with Bigfoot.
Trying
to wrap around. I guess what we would like to get out of all of this would be people sharing more information. See what's happening here, see what's happening there. There's been talks out west on nests and things like that. Bring it out, more platforms so we can see it, understand it, what you're seeing, how you're seeing it, potentially why you're seeing it, all those questions.
East Coast is definitely different from the West Coast. It's different from the South.
And
So
down south,
you would think that the creature's going to be that way too. You know,
yeah. So we need to,
Mhm.
you know,
So we need to talk.
similarities. We need to do
Yeah.
all that kind of.
Nice.
So how would people get a hold of you to do that? To give you all the information on their sightings or anything that they've seen or found?
Just go to the Vogel Brothers page on
Facebook.
Facebook. Check us out there. Smash the like button, and you'll stay up to date with whatever we're doing. We have a few things coming up as well, but that's the easiest way. Tim and Eric Vogel. You know, just give us a call. Go on Facebook and get us.
Oh yeah.
If you're New England, you got a site, let us know. There's a lot of good people out there that can take your information and go out there and do it. There's many good people that we all know right here
Right.
that can do that. But we're here in Western Mass, and you know we do our due diligence. We try to
Come on out. We'll take you up to October
That's
Mountain.
right.
Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll.
I'm
well,
very
maybe,
interested in doing this.
I like going on hikes. So that's
maybe we'll
fun.
get something thrown at us or something.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna take you up on this because I'm very intrigued by all of this, and I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Hey, if you can come out in May 5th, man, we're having a meet and greet. Come on out.
Nice.
Oh yeah, May 5th meet and greet, not just for the Vogel Brothers, but
For any
everybody in
investigator.
Bigfooting.
Yeah.
Whoever
Nice.
shows, you know, who's who, what do they do, what you know.
Paranormal world, come on out.
It's great.
So anyways, you go on the Facebook page and you'll find directions to the meet and greet. If you can make it, that'd be great. Like I said, it's not just about me and Eric. We want to know who everybody else is. And,
Right.
and network. This is more of a networking thing. So
Yes.
that's really all it is. It's same weekend as the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. So I'm not expecting.
I hope we added a little clarity to your skepticism.
No, you did. To be honest, you did a lot.
For sure. Yeah.
I
Sure,
just
I like
like
that.
I'm
you
not
get the
someone that
information.
likes to make a decision based without information. So like the more information that I gather, the better educated I am, and the more I can make an informed decision rather than just say no, it's not real or go into something so blindly.
Right.
Yep. And remember, every time you're out there, it's something new.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about the experience, like we talked about earlier. My experience in ghosts and your experience in Bigfoot, it makes it all the much more real for us. So, being able to be able to share that with other fellow investigators of your kind or my own, it's really I do that myself with other ghost people. It's really a good way to collaborate and to share information and share
Exactly.
experiences. It's the best way to do it for sure.
Oh yeah, it's a great way to network, and I would guess like learn patterns and try to see what you can and can't learn from other people and get more information for the next time you go out looking too.
Absolutely. And it puts you in an area where you're going to have possibly some an encounter. And you know, when you're listening to the stories and then someone else's encounter, you're going to go there. You're not going to go over 50 miles to the other side when you got nothing over there. It doesn't make sense.
If you're fishing and you're catching fish,
Yeah,
why
right.
move?
Right. If you're fishing, catching fish, why move?
Love fishing.
Right.
Love it. You guys getting trout up there up in Western Mass? Is that
Absolutely.
is that what you guys are going for? Yeah, I missed that. We had open day weekend this past weekend here in Rhode Island. I went to the Patriots Day events up in Lexington and Concord. A good friend of mine came down with reenacting, so I went and saw the whole fiesta for the 249th. It was really a good time. But the weather's so nice. I was walking today with my dog. I heard buddy, I look and like Larry the Largemouth jumps out of the lake. I'll be there soon. I'll be there soon. So,
Yeah,
I love,
that's right.
Love it.
Bass fishing's good too.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to thank you guys for coming on tonight. It was amazingly educational. I always like to hear, people's experiences, what people are doing, how people are doing it.
That's cool. Bounced around on a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, it was good. So we're gonna let you guys go at this point. We're gonna walk you on with Bigfoot, and we'll be back in about a minute with sports.
Thank you guys again.
Thanks again. Guys.
Yeah.
The Buffalo Bills select Josh Allen.
Oh! Fuck! Fuck!
So the kid from Fresno who played his college ball in Wyoming is going
What are we doing here?
These are the 3 worst teams in the MLB. If you like any of these teams, go in the corner and cry because they're not winning anything anytime soon. Number 1, the Oakland A's, this poverty franchise full of absolute bums, hasn't won a World Series in 12,480 days. Number 2, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They changed their name more times than they have won World Series. This full team of wash bums will never win anything. Number 3, the Houston Astros. All I have to say is bang, bang.
Here are 5 facts you didn't know about the Masters. Augusta National paints their grass. Blemishes can creep into the fairways, greens, and around the putting surfaces. Anything that can be picked up on camera will be painted green. Bird noises are added in by television companies. CBS admitted to doing it to make it seem more of a natural paradise. The water on the course is dyed. The crystal clear reflections are not by chance. They use a dye similar to that used in blue colored icing. The use of cell phones are banned at the course. The bunkers on the course aren't actually filled with sand. Instead, they are filled with quartz, a waste product from a mining process that takes place in western North Carolina that makes it so white and pure.
Fun facts here on The Ghost and the Goat about golf. I don't know if any of our viewers are Masters or golf fans. I honestly, I don't follow it, but I heard that guy he hit the birdie like every bam. I'm Joey Perry, Joey Wrestling, Joey whatever he goes by these days. I'm sure he was watching the Masters, trying to pick up on trades and tricks of the golf sport, which is I'm slowly becoming more of a. I bought a golf set. I wouldn't call myself a golfer. I don't have the funny pants yet. I certainly don't have the gloves.
You don't need funny pants, buddy. This isn't 1953.
Right, you'd be surprised. There's some funny pants wearing.
Yeah, but it's not a necessity.
No, all right, but you have to wear pants most times. You can't wear shorts.
Right. Yeah.
They have these rules where you can't wear jeans and shit. Like what? So yeah, I just I don't know. It's I'm not great at it, but it's nice. The courses are nice. It's like I can see the science behind it. I can see my ancestry, the Scottish and the Irish that invented the game, and how they wanted to mess with the rest of the world by inventing the game of golf. The way it's pronounced, golf. It sounds like someone's stuck in your throat, but it's a wonderful sport, and they have wonderful golfers. So I'm looking forward to the sequel of Happy Gilmore, and that's all I can really say.
I can't wait. That news was very welcome news in my household to find out that they're gonna do Happy Gilmore 2. I think it's gonna be on the senior PGA. I think that's what I read.
Oh yeah, he's gonna. Oh, because he's like 60 now. No, Adam Sandler. He's
well, yeah, no, just because they're older, so it makes sense to do it that way.
Yeah, of course.
But dude, buddy, there's a lot of football news going out right now.
Football.
And so this is the time of year where we have to be careful. There is a lot of fake news out there. There is a lot of misdirection.
Right.
Leading up to the draft, there's teams that drop news, trying to scare teams away from the player that they want, trying to
There's a lot of
it happens all the time. Like the Patriots. The Patriots interviewed Michael Penix, Phoenix, whatever his name is.
Penix, I think. Penix.
Yeah, out of Washington.
Penix. I think is how it's
he was all right. He's an all right quarterback, big lefty. They call him one of the more pure throwers in the draft this year.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good people talk a lot of good things about
the only way the Patriots even remotely think about drafting him is if they move down.
Yeah, he's like a 25 pick kind of guy, right?
Yeah, he's a top 30 guy, but I mean, even then you could go early, you could go later, you could drop to the second round. Every year we have one quarterback that gets built up, and I think this year's I think it's JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, okay.
I think JJ McCarthy's getting built up, and I think he's going to drop.
He's not so high of a quality. Yeah, he's been pushed up all year. Who else was like that? Jalen Daniels, who was like had a haphazard leading up to, and then he kind of got handed a team and was able to perform.
Oh, whoa! He wasn't handed a team.
Oh, I'm sorry. What are you educating? I'm sorry.
Jaden Daniels wasn't handed a team. He did transfer to LSU. I forget where he came from.
Yeah, it was some no name college.
He did transfer into LSU. I think he played 2 years there. He won the Heisman last year. He was surrounded by some decent talent. Obviously, they have another first-round wide receiver. But
as I've always said, in order for a quarterback to be successful, you need weapons around you. You can't do
Oh,
it
for
yourself.
sure.
It's
Yeah,
not
for sure.
possible. We see this happen every year in the draft. So I don't think you can punish a guy for having good teammates. And not to mention, I mean, everybody talking about J.J. McCarthy, but I didn't see them throwing the football much. And in Michigan, I know they like to run the football, but if you have a quarterback that you actually believe in and that you think can throw the football the way that they're saying he can throw the football, then you let him throw the football.
Yep.
Like, you don't hold him back.
So Drake May is I see in a lot of these predictions is New England's choice, which I think gives you diarrhea. But
the thing with him is him walking into the Patriots might be a good idea because he's going to sit. He needs to sit a year. He's not ready.
Oh, you think they're just they're gonna start for a set, and then this kid's gonna watch and learn, which is the way it should be. Absolutely the way it should be. But
I think no matter who they draft, the Patriots are going to sit. Now, depending on who they draft, is how long they sit the guy. I have read a lot of things saying that Jaden Daniels intentionally tanked his interview with the Washington Commanders because he wants to play
who
for
would
the
want to
Patriots.
go to Washington?
He wants to play for the Patriots.
Who wants to be a commander?
With that new ownership, you're walking into a bad situation either way. The Patriots aren't ready, right? They're not. As much as I love my Patriots, we're 3-4 years away from actually being a contender, unless they go out and spend the way that they need to spend, which they're not going to. They've already proven that fact. It's disgusting. They've lied to me.
Right? They have treated you poorly in the last few seasons.
No, it's not, buddy. You can't go out and tell the fans that you're going to spend money and then not spend the money.
I believe Coach Mayo said open checkbook, or he said
because that was coming from the Crafts.
Light it on fire. He made some kind of reference that everybody's like, oh, they got to.
Yeah, he said we have money to burn and we're gonna do
money to burn. That's what he said. That's and they didn't burn shit. They didn't burn anything.
Re-signed. So they did re-sign some players that I thought they had to re-sign.
Right.
Kyle Duggar's one of the best safeties in the league. Re-signing him was a brilliant idea. I love him here. Him and Julius Peppers make one of the best safety tandems in the league. I really enjoyed the defense isn't the problem with the Patriots.
Right.
Even with all the injuries last year, they had a very good defense. And I mean, we're talking Judon was hurt wise. Like Gonzalez got hurt. They had nothing but injuries on that team, and they were still pretty decent defensively.
Yeah,
they just don't have anything offensive.
Dumpster fire, right?
At all, yeah. And
they get nothing.
I don't know what they're going to do with the 3 pick. I've read, again, this is the time for misinformation. So I've read that they're going to trade down with Minnesota and get their 3 first-round picks, which I would not be upset about. But what I would like them to do is take 1 less draft pick and get Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, there you go.
If you want to move up to 3, you're going to pay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't just give away a franchise quarterback for nothing.
Right.
But I think
they could get like a middle of the road kind of guy, or
they have 9 and 22, and I forget the other draft pick. So at 9, you can still get a franchise guy.
Yeah.
Like if you're, you like Penix, if you like J.J. McCarthy, if you like any of those guys, you could use those picks, move back up into the top 5, take a quarterback. Or I think after the first 3 picks, I think we're going to see a lot of skill positions go because Arizona's at 4, and I don't see how Marvin Harrison Jr. gets past 4.
Yeah, no, he's not dropping much further.
I don't see it. I just don't see it. Oh, the kid from Texas too. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but there's a couple wide receivers out here. There's the kid from LSU, Texas, and Marvin Harrison Jr. Those are the cream of the crop. I just don't see how the Patriots are going to get better without actually spending money, and I'm nervous that Jonathan Kraft is going to try to run this team the way that Jerry Jones does.
The cheap way, like the Oakland, like the money ball. He's going to
not just that, but have your hands too much into it. The ownership with their hands in every football decision is never good.
Right, you're not a football coach. You're not a football player.
And the funny thing is, and we've talked about this before, but like at the beginning of that Dynasty documentary, Bill Parcells was trashing the Crafts for doing exactly what they're doing now, and everybody was upset. They're like, he's still bitter. He's still an asshole. He's right.
Oh, yeah.
He's right. The Crafts now have their hands on the pot because Belichick isn't here to keep them out.
Mm-hmm. And Gerard Mills are going to say no.
No, he's a first-year head coach. What is he going to do? Be like, no, it's my team. You know what I mean? They'll be like, all right, go get somebody else, dude. Like,
yeah, you haven't even.
He doesn't have the ability to stop them yet.
Right.
I don't know if he ever will, but we'll see about that.
I don't know if you guys are going to return to that glory. I don't see it. Speaking of that, returning to that glory,
you're not gonna just say that and then walk away from that.
I'm not.
It
was leading into something else. Forget.
They have the most successful football franchise in the history of football.
Yeah, they do. Oh my God!
So they had a bad few years.
Nobody's gonna touch that.
If you would have listened to me 4 or 5 years ago, at the end of Brady's run, this was coming.
Everybody knows the drama.
You could look at the cap and see that they needed to restructure their whole. They needed to take 2 years and eat all the shit that they were piling on top when Brady was here. All the contracts you pushed off. You know what I mean? You kick the can down the road. Eventually, that road ends. You know what I mean? You have to reset the cap, and they did reset the cap, and they spent some money. They got Matthew Judon, which has been a great pickup.
Oh, he's brilliant. I like him.
Dude's a stud, man. He's one of the best defensive ends in the league. He's just a pure pass rusher. The likes the Patriots haven't had since Chandler Jones.
He's kind of like more like a linebacker than he is a lineman.
Oh, dude, he's so good though. Like he pressures the quarterback every play. He's so good.
For sure.
Like but I do think the Patriots. I think it's going to be a couple years, and if they don't hit on this pick, then it's going to be even longer. Just like any team, the NFL draft is a very unguaranteed process. It's an unforgiving one too, because you can draft the wrong guy and get stuck with this dude, like we got Mac Jones.
Yeah,
but you don't know until they get on the field. These guys can look great in all these workouts and look great in college, and then just
win the Heisman and be like the next big thing, and then go to the pros and be shit. Yep,
exactly. I mean, the Dolphins have dealt with this for how many years with quarterbacks?
Over and over and over and over again. Yeah, for years, dude. For years. Tua, I like a little bit more faith in him this year, but honestly, for his first 3 seasons, I'm like, what did we do? I don't know.
I think that falls on more on the coaching though, in that because what they were splitting time between him and Brissett, pulling him out for Brissett to get sneaks and throws. And they wait till week 8 to start Tua, and they really messed with that. Like Flores did a number on him.
Flores,
But Mike McDaniels, man, we've talked about this. I love Mike McDaniels.
I like him a lot. Yeah, he's got that energy. He's a little guy. He's
and the players love playing for him, and they respect him too. It's not just
he's
enough.
A smart football guy too. So
it's not just enough for these players to like you. Like it doesn't work that doesn't work long term, but they actually respect Mike McDaniels because he could break down X's and O's as good, if not better, than any other coach in the league.
The Vic Fangio thing is like whatever. That's like a bad relationship. You end it and then you just want to get over it and like go. Everybody goes their separate ways. Stop talking shit about each other, you know. But
where do you think the Dolphins go in this year's draft?
I'm hoping that they grab that center from Oregon. He's got a hyphenated name. I can't remember his name. I was reading about him yesterday. He's I like him as protection for Tua. We need a more solid O-line in Miami. While Tua can get the ball out really quickly, he gets knocked around too much. God knows what's going to happen. Don't even get me talking about that. It scares me just thinking about it. I think if he had more time in the pocket, like another 2 seconds, he'd be a more accurate.
And he gets rid of the ball very quickly. I think he's got
more
one
dominating
of the
quarterback.
Releases.
Yeah,
he's got one of the quicker releases in the league too. I think. Right?
Yeah. O-line. I mean, they picked up some tight ends in the free agency. They picked up some defense. So yeah, I hope they build off that O-line and make it more solid and more consistent. We did maintain a few offensive linemen from last year. I think we did lose our center though. So that's where I want to go. But who knows where they go? I heard like you were saying in these weeks building up to the draft, the closer we get, wild stories about them trading Tua for like first round picks and no, don't do that. We wasted so many years, invested so many years into this guy and made him what he is. I know, okay, it's not gonna happen, but oh my god, it's just And then the other thing that got dropped recently, that somebody just dropped it into the media's lap, and people have been running with it for days. Mr. Brady, a few days ago, said that he thinks he could play in the NFL. Of course, I think he could. Of course, he could. And everybody and their brother, that's all people have been talking about is, will Brady go with the 49ers? Is Brock Purdy that much of a quarterback that they want to put their faith into? Well, his contract doesn't end until this year, so they really don't have to pay him.
So would they bench him and bring in Tom Brady? Like, Tom Brady's 47 years old, dude. He's not. I mean, I think
Brady's
he's a
two
great
teams that
quarterback,
he's
but
like. So Brady said maybe the 49ers, but then he really hinted at the Raiders and the Patriots because he's got links to the Raiders trying to buy a percentage of their ownership, and obviously the Patriots for
yeah,
his history.
yeah. Like
I have had to deal with friends and family nonstop talking about Tom Brady.
Oh my God, dude.
I just want to make this clear. Again, buddy, you know I'm a diehard Pats fan.
Yeah.
I have all the respect in the world for Thomas Edward Brady Jr.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
Right. Second,
right? Like
number 13.
the most
Yeah.
clutch quarterback of all time. There's no
Oh,
doubt
yeah,
about
for
that.
sure, for sure. Fucking
When there
scary
was
as hell.
2 minutes,
Scary as hell.
there's 2 minutes left in the game. Tom Brady's the guy you want. And
Yeah,
that's just
they
the
give
way-
me 10
that's just-
seconds, dude. He's still always scared the shit out of me, no matter how big of a lead we ever
because he's
had.
going to make the right play.
Right.
But
watching him in those fucking Super Bowls, 28-3, get the hell out of here. But go on. Get
to
the
all
hell
the
out of here.
Patriots fans that are talking about Tom Brady and trying to, oh, we'd love to have him come back one more year, draft a guy and have him sit behind. Listen, okay, fuck off. Okay, like fuck off with this. First of all, the Patriots aren't in a position to bring in Tom Brady because then you'd have to compete. So that number 3 draft pick would go out the window and they'd end up trading it for a wide receiver because you don't have anybody for Tom to throw to. You'd
Right.
have to get weapons.
But
Then
you
you're
could get
just
Marvin Harrison
pushing.
at that point.
You're
Marvin-
pushing the inevitable back. This
Yeah.
this sad state of affairs that we're in right now, this struggle, every NFL team goes through.
Mhm.
You have to build a team.
Right. Yeah.
I
that-
don't want
that's-
Tom Brady back. I want
Right,
a
that
young
would-
quarterback. I want a guy for the future. You don't get a guy for 2 years and then say we'll deal with that when we deal with that. We did that for the last 5 years of Brady's career. We didn't bring
Yeah.
anybody in. We didn't have anybody in the wings. And then we drafted Mac Jones, and they ruined Mac Jones because they
Yeah.
weren't ready. Now they're ready. You know what I mean? Like you could draft with the number 3 pick, and then I think it's like the 34th overall pick in the second round. You have the ability to draft an offensive tackle. You have an ability to draft a wide receiver, and you have an ability to draft a quarterback. 2 of those
Yep.
3 positions are going to get filled with your first 2 draft picks.
Right.
Do it. And then
Right.
let the kids sit behind Jacoby Brissett. You're not paying him much. You know what I mean? And then just build a team around a young kid and let him
Yeah.
learn how to be an NFL. Every quarterback, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, every quarterback that's had success the last few years, they've sat.
All right.
There's
No.
no coincidence in that.
What are the stats on that? No, and I agree with that. But I mean, what are the stats? Like, what's the kid from Chicago
I'd have
now?
to look.
Justin Fields. He started right. Well, a lot of the more recent quarterbacks started right away and didn't have that year of.
Well, I can tell you that some of the guys that have sat for the for at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins sat behind RG3, obviously.
Yeah, but they
right.
came out-
Josh Allen sat behind Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
Tua sat.
Yeah.
Who else is out there? Pat Mahomes sat for a year behind Alex Smith.
Mac Jones.
Aaron
kinda
Rodgers
right?
sat for 4 years behind Brett
did.
Favre.
He did. Yeah. Right.
Jordan Love sat for 4 years behind Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Like all these
And it
guys
should be.
that-
It should sure
Yes.
be for sure.
And why is that? Because the NFL game is so much faster and there's more into it than the college game. It takes a while to learn. Throwing a
Yeah.
kid, you're drafting 3 for a reason. You're not a good football team. A young quarterback isn't going to just miraculously make you one of the best teams in the league unless
Tell
you
that to
build
the
around
Cleveland
them.
Browns.
But, right.
The Browns are good for doing that. They drafted a quarterback. He was great in college because they're the Cleveland Browns and they suck and they're terrible. They make him suck and terrible. He gets traded. He becomes a backup quarterback somewhere else.
So the Browns,
And then
I feel, always
then they
went for the
draft somebody
flashy
else.
pick. I feel like the
Yeah.
Browns always went for the flashy pick at quarterback, like the Johnny
Mhm.
Manziel and the Baker
that's why they fail.
Mayfield.
Yeah.
And that's why you fail. And that's what I'm so afraid of with the Patriots. Like, I'm so afraid that they're going to draft J.J. McCarthy because his name is rising. And you know what I mean? You're afraid that you're going to miss out. When in fact, if you just would have took Drake May and sat him, and I'm not a Drake May fan, but he's got talent. He played at the college level, and that's a high level to play. He's got the arm talent to do it.
So you want Daniels ultimately. That's who you're hoping for here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want Daniels. That's been the guy. I thought for sure we were going to get him at 3. Now it looks
Mhm.
like he's not going to be there at 3. But if you have the ability to draft him or move up 1 pick and draft him, do it. Like, he is outside of Caleb Williams, obviously, because I think Caleb is a generational guy. This kid is going to be so special, buddy.
I want to
Like,
see this because I'm still having difficulty. But go
I
ahead.
watched him through his whole college career, and he was just amazing. Every throw, he can make every throw on the field with a flick of the wrist.
Yeah,
He can
all
run
right.
when he's got to run. He was never gifted wide receivers. Like at
Mhm.
USC, he had Jordan
Like
Addison, who's a
USC,
good.
yeah.
He's good, but he's not like he never had stacked receiver corps. So everybody's like, well, he only had one good. He had more than one good year. He had 3 very good years as a starter,
Mhm.
but he didn't have the offensive weapons that some of these guys. You know what I mean? Like the guys from Alabama and Georgia and all those
Oh, yeah.
teams. Like he didn't
Stacked
have
teams,
those
yeah.
guys. He had some
Right.
guys that wanted to go play with him, but he also played in the Pac-10 and USC never played defense. They played flag football on one side of the field. It was disgusting.
Ugh.
So like they lost a lot of games, and everybody points to that, and it's like, you know what, dude? I watched him put up like 40-something points in the Pac-10 championship game 2 years ago, and he lost on a last-second drive because the defense couldn't stop them. Like that's not his fault. He went down and scored with a minute left, and they let up a touchdown with like under a minute to go. I think it was like 47 seconds.
Yep. So it's
How's that on Caleb? That's not on Caleb.
Yeah. All
And
right.
I know, like, I guess his dad made some noise, or the media sucks, dude. Like,
Yeah, the media is awful.
they try to make
It's
stories
awful.
out of this, and they try to paint these poor, like, dude, these are 20-year-old kids, 21-year-old kids, and they're getting painted like assholes when they didn't even come out and say something. It's all assumptions based on these 40-something-year-olds trying to get clicks. It's
Fair enough. All right. We'll let time tell with Caleb Williams. He's
But yeah, Jaden Daniels, in my dream scenario, it's Jaden Daniels.
yeah.
That's the guy. I don't want JJ McCarthy. I would rather have Drake May than JJ.
And you know it's not going to be. I mean, the Bears are obviously taking
No,
Caleb
Caleb's
Williams.
going 1. This
Yeah.
has been the most certain pick, I think, since Andrew Luck. Oh, actually,
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence was consensus number 1 for years leading up.
Yeah.
But we're drafted so early in the draft, you could get a franchise-changing guy. You just have to do it right. You can't just take a guy because it's going to be splashy. You have to take the guy you think is going to fit the system you want to run.
For as long
That's
as
what
possible.
Bill did forever. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he took the guy
Yeah.
that fit the system.
And people
It
like
might not have been flashy.
people
but it
talk
worked.
shit about Bill for years about how he couldn't draft, and he made some of the most genius draft moves ever. But I don't know, man.
Man, people that do that only talk about that because they couldn't hit on a receiver in the first round. Guess what?
Right.
All these people talking about how DK Metcalf, the Patriots passed on him. So did every other team in the NFL.
Right.
He went through the first round.
Oh wow.
So did Deebo Samuel. Like Deebo Samuel got drafted later. Like they're like, the Patriots missed on them. Every other team in the NFL missed on these guys. It's not just the
Yeah.
Pats. You just
Yeah,
didn't
right.
see it. You know what I mean? DK Metcalf had a major back injury
Mhm.
at the end of his career in Ole Miss. Like they were afraid of that. Why
Yeah,
wouldn't you
of course.
be? You know what I mean?
Injury scary for sure, especially at that age.
I think the Patriots have the ability to really make a change and like take a step in the positive direction. I just hope to God they do it and they don't just trade down to trade down. Like if you trade down, I hope there's a plan. That's all I want. I just want to see a plan.
Either way, hopefully they're not that great.
The Jets are winning that division this year anyway. It doesn't matter.
Oh no! Don't even start with this Jets shit, dude. You're a Pats fan. Don't even say that. You can't even. The Jets of all teams. Come on, the Jets.
I don't care about
No, it's
the Jets.
Aaron Rodgers.
I don't give a shit
They
about the
haven't
Jets.
fixed the turf yet. He'll get hurt again.
No, he won't. They're protected. They signed Tyrone Smith and they brought back Becton for the both left and right side. They shored up
But
the tackle spots.
he doesn't have turf. He's gonna slip and fall. He's gonna hurt himself.
Don't jinx that. I don't wish injury on anybody. Don't jinx that.
No, I know that's horrible. That's awful. One of my guys went down on the same turf.
Dude, it was
Freaking
so
choke.
sad to see him go out 4 plays into the season on his.
That
Like
wasn't
I was
sad. He's an
looking
asshole.
forward to watching him live for the first
Oh
time
my
in
God.
years. Like he was going to come
No,
to Gillette.
thank you.
I was going to be able to watch him. I was excited.
He definitely made me nervous for sure being in the AFC, but
Dude.
in the East, in my division, he's like right down the road, right in New Jersey. I'm not looking forward to Aaron Rodgers, but
They are
we shit on
talking-
Tom Brady. We'll shit on Aaron Rodgers too. So,
And they're talking about the Jets landing Odunze, or however you say his name, the kid out of Washington, the wide receiver. If he
Yep.
falls to 10 to the Jets and you pair him with Garrett Wilson in that offensive line,
well, you got
Ayuk, he's talking about getting traded, right? From San Francisco.
Yeah, I think he wants it, but I don't think the Niners are going to do it. They're not known to just let guys go.
Yeah, he's a superstar out there.
Yeah, he could be really good for any team, but I don't think they want to trade him.
Some of my Bills fans, I threw them shit when Stephon Diggs got traded, but they're like, he's like good riddance. He's
it seemed like he was more of a problem in the locker room.
Yeah, he's a nightmare personality. His catching has gone down. They have that new kid they identified as a better receiver, the running back and whatnot. Yeah, so he just I don't know.
But still, I still think you're still gonna miss Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, he's
like even if he's just a decoy, he's still even if he's just a decoy, he's still a good decoy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's that. I mean, the Texans landed him with C.J. Stroud to go with Tank Dell and all those young receivers. That's
they got such a devastating offense. So that's a scary look there. C.J. Stroud is a good quarterback.
Yeah, if he continues to grow and like shows promise like he did, man, this guy is the seal.
Yeah, like leadership his first year, he was like accurate. He was running all over the field. He was bringing them back from comebacks. They made did they make the play? Oh, they got bounced out of the playoffs at the end, right? But it was close. I mean, and this is a kid, a rookie, didn't start under anybody. Started right off the bat, and he's like competing like a veteran. And now
it's a very rare thing for guys like that.
I know, and they added all these weapons. Now it's a little bit more scary. I got a cousin who's a Houston Texans fan.
Tell me they don't look like geniuses right now, though, trading that #1 pick away and still getting the guy they wanted.
Yeah,
like sure. Bryce Young went to Carolina. I still think Bryce Young could be good. That Carolina team's atrocious. Offensive line, they have no weapons. Like he was put in a real bad situation. So I don't think it's all on him, and I think he could be good. But the Texans got their guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were able to take a defensive guy right after it too.
Right. Yeah. Right. They got the first with the second and third pick. Right.
Yeah. Will Anderson, I think it was. Right. Yeah. Dude, the Texans drafted really well last year. They did.
Yeah.
That's what I want the Patriots to do, but I don't have any faith. I have no faith. No faith.
Happen.
Buddy, let's talk about the Red Sox for a second.
Speaking of no faith, dude, I started the season like with no faith, and they were winning. They were playing well. We were like 8-3. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? I mean, it's only the first week of the season, but it's they're like winning games there, playing well. And then Trevor Story went down with the season ending, I think, his shoulder injury.
It was. He went for a diving catch at shortstop, and
the diarrhea soon began for Buddy. By the next night, Rafael Devers he's like the king of errors in the last like couple weeks. Yesterday
was coming up though. He was never defensively stout at third base. He was
starting
starting because he was
right? He's a hitter, right? But maybe a DH. I don't know. But he's missed a few like really easy plays over there at third, and then yesterday he went wandering off into left field and walked into like one of our better hitters and one of our better performers, Tyler O'Neill there, and concussion protocol, 8 stitches across the forehead.
That's the kid that smacked a home run over the monster in his first home run, right?
Opening day. He's hit a home run in every opening day for the last 5 years. And he's been a machine. He's I think he's leading in the AL with.
He's a rookie, right?
No, he's 5 years in.
Really? I didn't know that.
He was with I want to say Anaheim.
Oh, okay. All right, so he's signed here.
Before. Where is he? He's on here.
Man, he smacked that ball though. That was a shot.
He's got 7 home runs so far.
Was he batting 210?
Trying to bring up his stats.
I don't think he's
has batting he's batting 313. Hold on. I'll share my screen. We'll look at it together. Fun for the whole family. Hold on.
Oh, also, I want to thank the Red Sox for giving the Braves Chris Sale because they're in trouble with their injuries already, and now all of a sudden Chris Sale's pitching like Chris Sale, and now he's stuck in my division. Great.
Yep. Yeah, which is good. That's good for you. Good for the Braves.
Yeah,
it's batting 313, 7 home runs, 8 RBIs. He was playing well, and now he's out for probably like.
Look at that OPS. 8 RBIs on 7 home runs is disgusting, though.
Yeah. I would. Oh no, he came from the Cardinals. I had never heard of this guy before, and not that I follow the NL that much, but he just came out of left field, so to say, and has performed very well. Him and they got a new kid, Rafaela, doing some really great things in center field, but now with Story injured, they were moving him in and out of the infield. I think putting Hamilton at shortstop. Hamilton sucks, but he's supposed to suck. He's a nobody. Where people like Devers, who were paying like a whole shit ton of money.
Well,
he's
Devers,
just
you
not-
had to pay because he was going to get that somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
You couldn't let him and Bogarts walk in the same offseason. You know what I mean?
Right. There's also, oh my God, don't even get me on Bogarts.
Well, it's not like
there's also,
Bogarts has been lighting. Bogarts hasn't been lighting the world on fire for San Diego either.
right. Mookie Betts, dude. That was my biggest.
They got a lot for Mookie though, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they did.
And they weren't going to give him
but
50 mil. He breaks down too. I don't know. I'm as talented as Mookie is. I don't know if I would have gave him 50 mil.
he has a fun name either way. They have a pitcher, Crawford. He's his ERA right now is 0.42. So that's looking really. He doesn't have any wins or losses yet, but the pitching's holding together. The bullpen.
Where are they in the standings?
The bullpen. I'm not sure yet. We can bring that up miraculously too. Hold on, give me a second.
Hold on. Oh, they're last.
Okay, yeah, your fingers are probably quicker than mine. Yeah, of course they're last.
Well, I have the standings up because I was just watching the Phillies game, so I have a MLB app up. The Phillies
there you
won.
go.
If in case you were wondering, by the way, they're
Oh,
10-8.
wonderful.
Yeah, or
Good for the
11-8
Phillies.
now. Yeah, they're only a game and a half behind Atlanta, and I think they're going to win the division this year. If they get some
Well, there you
pitching,
go.
the Phillies got a chance at the World Series. This has been the
Yeah.
same story that I've been preaching for the last 3 years: is they don't have enough arms. It's an arms race when it comes to the playoffs, and they're just outmanned. They have a lineup that can score runs with anybody. They don't have a pitching rotation that can stop it. They fixed the bullpen. They don't have a rotation. It sucks. They have the top two dogs, and then they have some young guys. And if the young guys come up and like pitch well, then great. But if they don't, we're in trouble. Like they're just not prepared for it.
The Braves are a good team. The Yankees are another good team right now. I think they're 12-3 or 12-4. They're just hitting the shit out of the ball.
Yeah, they're 12-5.
Again, another reason for Buddy to have diarrhea because I absolutely hate the New York Yankees, but they're playing some really solid baseball. They got some
the young Orioles are right behind them.
The Orioles, the Orioles are smashing the shit out of the ball too. Just really not an enthusiastic time to be a Red Sox fan right now, but at least they're above 500, I think, right now. So they're playing baseball.
Barely above 500. They got blown out on
above 500.
Marathon Monday, which is traditionally a Red Sox game that you want to see them win. Because it's their game. It's 11 a.m. They do it during the marathon.
Yeah,
and it's a fun environment to be at the park, and they got blown out 5-0.
Yeah, and I mean that's a game they had in control too for a while. I think it was up till the 6th inning. It was 0-0, and then the errors started coming in, and the runs started coming in, and the pitching's been okay. I mean, the hitting's been okay, just not enough. So
I just don't understand how the Red Sox operate like a mid-market team.
Yeah,
it baffles me because there's no shortage of money. Like this region loves the Red Sox.
Yeah,
they pay for tickets. They buy the jerseys. They want to see a good product on the field, and John Henry just seems like he's mailing it in.
He's invested in too many things, and maybe his attention isn't solely on the Red Sox. I don't know. Larry Lucchino, he just recently passed away. There was all that drama in Boston because they didn't go to his funeral, and he brought so much great things to the city of Boston, and the Red Sox. But I don't have a lot of faith in the ownership at the moment. I'm starting to believe the rumors that I hear about them possibly selling the team. Maybe it might be the best thing for them. Get away from John Henry and his lack.
So the big
shit
sale
for
thing
these
that I
guys.
saw was that there's an ownership group, and the big name involved in that ownership group is Theo Epstein.
Oh, that's good. No, I like Theo. He's the boy genius that gave us a World Series.
I mean, he's back in some kind of an advisor role, but I think I think that was just to get him in the office because I do think everything I've seen is that they're going to sell the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and if Theo Epstein's involved in that ownership group, they're going to be committed to winning.
Do it. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he's a good cat. I think he knows what he's doing.
He's
He
a
took
Hall
the
of Famer, right, buddy?
the Red Sox. Yeah. Oh, he should be if he's not already. But I mean, no, he's kind of
He's not
young.
already, but
Um,
no, I'm saying he should be a
no,
Hall of Fame executive
he will be. Yeah,
by the end of his time.
he broke the two biggest curses in the MLB,
Right.
the Cubbies and the Red Sox, and he took us to victory. So, and
Yeah.
in a lifetime, I never thought I'd see the Red Sox ever win a World Series. My father spent his whole life. My grandfather spent his whole life watching the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Never saw them win a World Series, and we've seen them win like what, 3 now, right? So far,
Is
Three?
it 3? Yeah.
3.
Is it
Yeah,
3 or 4? 3, right?
I think it's 3. Yeah. Joey Wrestling, Joey Paranormal, Joey a little
Yeah,
bit
Joe.
of everything. Will say that the Red Sox biggest problem is that they have an underdeveloped farm system, and he said this for years. And I'm going to see the Woo Sox later on this spring, so I'm hoping to see a little bit better. But other than Raphael, we haven't had a lot of like Devers. We haven't had a lot of huge prospects come up. So I
Tristan
think that-
Cassius.
Oh, yeah, he's pretty good. He's been playing pretty good. I feel about him.
Yeah, he was their big
Okay.
project. He was their big prospect for a while. So was Chavis, but he never panned out for them
Hmm.
like at all. There's a few guys. I mean, it's tough, man. Prospects don't pan out. It just happens. You
Yeah.
get up to the big leagues, it's a completely different ballgame than it is on the
Right.
minors.
They shit
Those
that
guys are at
pants.
the top of their game.
Right.
They're freaks. You know what I mean? There's how many guys make it to the minors and never make it to the majors?
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Um,
There is a reason for that.
for sure. So switching gears a little bit. I know you were saying in the beginning of the show that you took a little trip up to the fatherland
did.
up there in Boston to
Yeah.
witness the Boston Marathon. A good friend of mine ran in the Boston Marathon. Oh God, I think I want to say 3 years ago now it was. It's crazy. I helped him train. I took him to Newport. I had him. He was running like 20, 30 miles. It's crazy the train that these people do. And then he ran the Boston Marathon. He did it at 40 years old. He did it in 4 hours and I think 3 minutes. It might be 6, but
Wow.
just an incredible accomplishment. Now then I'm like, oh, this is like it now, dude. Right? You did like the Marine Corps Marathon in DC, and you did the Boston Marathon. That's pretty big. And then like 2 weeks later, he had a friend running. Kid we went to high school with was running the Providence Marathon. He's like, oh, I'm gonna run with him, and he's like, mile like 24. If I get tired, I'll take a cab to like, dude, you're nuts. I'm like, is this finally it? He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna rest a bit. And then like 6 months later, he's like, oh, I'm going out with Deathly. We're gonna go to Pennsylvania and
People
run
love
like
it.
35 or 50K. I'm like, what the fuck? So now he's going to the ultra marathon. So he's going beyond the 26 miles. So now then he's like so he in PA, this race in PA a few years ago, it was like up and down mountains, right? Crazy for 50 kilometers. Then he did this one last October. It started in northwest of Worcester, and he runs. I think it was like 80% trails and 20% pavement, and he runs all the way down to Rhode Island. So it was a 50-miler. When he came in, he was like exhausted. We met him up in Douglas, Mass, about 12 miles before he finished. I fed him a bagel. He had a nice coffee. He was telling us how he ran through the night. First 20 miles, it was pouring rain. He was up to his knees and soaked in mud and water. At the 20-mile mark, he could stop. He could towel himself off. He could change his socks and shoes and start running again. Dude, he did it all in under 12 hours. And there were these people coming in that were like doing 100-miler, and I'm like, holy shit, they run 100 miles in less than a day. And he's like, yeah, those are the crazy ones. He's like,
Those
I'm
are
never
the
gonna do
crazy
that.
ones.
Now this October, he's going to be one of the crazy ones. This guy's running 100 miles, dude. 100 miles in under probably 20 hours.
That's crazy.
I'm a fat kid, so I can't even think about walking. I think about like driving 100 miles gets me all sweaty. But I mean, run in it's amazing the athleticism that these incredible athletes have.
Oh,
it
but
blows
yeah.
my mind, man.
To your point, yeah, I went up to Boston. I saw the marathon. What an electric environment! If you're in the area and you haven't been to Marathon Monday in Boston, go.
Yeah,
It is awesome because there's people there just cheering on people like that are struggling to get to the finish line, and then they get
Yeah.
that adrenaline from the crowd, and the crowd's my brother ran the marathon. I couldn't be more proud of him. He finished, which is an accomplishment all of its own. Like, it is an amazing marathon. They have Heartbreak Hill, I think, at like the 18th mile, which breaks
You go
runners.
all
Yeah, like,
pills, yeah.
it's
Oh,
dude.
oh, thank you,
And
dude.
like he finished, and I've never been more proud of another human being in my life.
Right.
But watching people cross that finish line and struggle to cross that finish line is one of the and you see other runners like stop and put their arm around them and help them get to the finish line because they want them to get that feeling that they finished because they came so close.
Yep.
And it's just like a ride of emotions to watch that marathon. It's exciting, it's heartwarming, it's inspirational, it's unbelievable to be there. Like, it's and the streets are just lined. My brother said that, like, once you start getting tired, he started to cramp up, I think, around mile 13, so he was having issues with that. And you know what I mean, trying to like work through it. He said that the crowd in all sorts of areas, like, you know what I mean, like, it's all over the city, dude. Like, they're just there, just supporting
People
you.
just go and they don't even know her. They just go
No.
year after year to cheer these people on because it's such a communal event.
Yeah.
I dropped my friend up in Hopkinton. I went and parked my car at the train station, I think in Mansfield, and his wife came and picked me up, and we went and saw him in Newton right before the Heartbreak Hill starts, and he gave us a hug, and I stopped, and he kept running, and we went down to downtown Boston. Her kids went with the parents and myself, this guy Higgins, this guy's in the army, so all these army people were up there, and everybody's cheering him on as he comes in. And he got a hotel room, which is probably the smartest thing he could have done.
Yeah.
He went and took a shower, relaxed for a bit. Then we went and the Yard something, and they had the Yard stick beers. Oh my God, dude, but Boston is such a tremendous. I don't know how I get going.
Buddy, there was
beers every time.
30,000 people that ran the Boston Marathon this year.
Yeah, and the winner did it in 2 minutes, 2 hours and 2 minutes. That is crazy. Dude.
2 hours,
Like
yeah, 2 hours. He was a sub 5-minute mile for 26 miles. The woman that finished first was from
You're from Kenya or Ethiopia.
She was from Kenya. Yeah, she was from Kenya because he was from Ecuador. The guy that won was from Ecuador. The female that won was from Kenya. She finished in 2 hours and 24 minutes.
It's crazy in itself, dude. Like I can't.
And the Paralympic guys.
Yeah.
There was a guy that finished in an hour and 40-something minutes.
The wheelchair guy, it was under 2 hours. I saw that. It was like hour and 27.
That's
like arm strength, like
over 20 miles an hour he's going.
That's crazy.
He finished like impressive. Like, dude, some of these guys that like do this, the athletes that compete in these things, and even just like the everyday runners that compete in these, like, it is such an impressive feat. Like to run a marathon and to finish a marathon, even if you didn't finish, the fact that you put yourself out there, trained for it, and like went for it.
It's a lot of work.
That's an accomplishment all of itself.
6 months of training beforehand, you do it, and it just like what. Or to me, as a fat kid, I'm not like really a runner. Even when I do work out, and I do more of the bike because my knees, my back, I can't. Physical limitations. I can only run so far. What is it that I'll be running like maybe 100 yards, 200 yards? I'll be like, oh, everything starts to hurt. Like I gotta stop. I can't. I try and convince myself to keep going. I go a little bit further. What is in their minds? What is psychologically? What is pushing somebody to do that?
I used to run when I was younger. My dad runs and my brother runs. So like we ran a lot, and it's like you get this weird adrenaline.
Yeah, that's
like
what they say. Yeah,
it's literally a runner's high. And it's like, I can only imagine what it feels like to cross 26 points. Like your body shuts down at some point in the marathon. Your body starts to fail because the human being isn't supposed to run 26 miles.
Right.
Right. Just imagine like your body is completely devoid of energy, and then you finish like the biggest accomplishment of your life, like solo accomplishment, obviously outside of having kids and all that stuff for those that have kids, but like a personal fitness accomplishment or a personal accomplishment all of itself, like
it's pretty huge.
That like level of success you must be like erratic. Like it's gotta be like insane. My brother was so amped and proud when he finished. Like
it's next level. It's one of the biggest events in the world. It's one of the most
It's the oldest marathon in the world.
Yeah, one of the most prestigious races around. You gotta what? You gotta win another marathon, or you gotta raise so much money. I think he had to raise like 20 grand, my friend, when he did it with he did it for one of the veterans organizations because he's in the military. So he raised a ton of money for the military, and it's great. But this next one he's doing, I'm like, are you doing it for an organization? Are you doing it for veterans? He's like, no, I'm just doing it for my soul. You're running 100 miles for your soul, dude. Let's go fishing for like 4 hours. If you need your, I don't know, man. That's next level for me. I can't even like process like running that kind of distance.
I was talking to my dad, you know what I mean, when we were walking to go meet my brother at, after he finished and stuff like that. There's a family meetup area and stuff.
Yeah.
So we were talking about stuff like that. My dad's like, have you ever thought about getting back into running and doing it? I'm like, dude, I can't. My knee, like, I can't do it. Like, I've taken a beating over the years of wrestling psych patients around and like and doing construction. Like, my body's pretty beat. But what I did tell him, and what I've thought about doing since I was a kid, and I don't know if it's even going to be possible, if I'll actually look into it. I want to look into it, but do the Pan Mass Challenge. It's like a 2-day race from Boston to Provincetown in Cape Cod. It's an insane ride, dude. Like, it's like over 700 miles or something like that. Over the course of 2 days, you have to, or over the course of 3 days, you do it. They do it in stages. Obviously, you stay overnight. But man, some of the athletes that do this, like Red Sox players, do it for like the Jimmy Fund, and I think some of the like Teddy Bruschi has a team that does it to raise funds for like stroke survivors and all that stuff, because obviously the stuff he went
because he had the stroke. Yeah,
there's like so much stuff. Like, it's like one of the Jimmy Fund's biggest fundraisers that they do outside of the telethon every year. Like, it's like one of their biggest gainers, and it's insane, dude. Like, they go through all these towns in Cape Cod. It like shuts it down. People again cheer you on and like try to, you know what I mean? It's insane, dude. Some of these athletes, they don't get the attention, but like that accomplishment that they do come through with is just insane to me.
Yeah, it blows my mind. I know a guy who does the Ironman. Well, he doesn't do like the real ones out in Hawaii, but he does them here in Rhode Island, where you start at the State House and you run to like Point Judith, which is the southern half of the state.
Yeah.
And you swim around a whole bunch of, then you come back, you take your wetsuit off, you jump on a bike, and you ride a bike back to the State House. No, thank you. But I mean, that sounds wonderful if you're, really athletic and you're doing stuff with your life. But oh my God,
I can only imagine the training that goes involved in a triathlon.
Oh, that's ridiculous. You're doing three different things. It's nuts to me. Or even more nuts. So I take sports psychology. So it's one of the classes I'm taking this semester, and I had to watch a video. It was a TED Talk, which if you've never seen a TED Talk, they're amazing. They're on all different topics. Oh my God, they're phenomenal. So there was a TED Talk. This guy going back to like the ancient Mayans and the ancient Aztecs and the guys who first met the Europeans in Mexico and Argentina and Colombia and all that stuff. And they tried to trust these people and make friends with them instead of running away, and they got killed, and they smallpox and STDs, and they killed them off. These guys that ran, they would run for like 100 to 150 miles in like a day with no shoes on. They would never get hurt. So there's this whole video on like running, taking it naked. This guy who was giving the talk, now he runs. He doesn't wear any shoes. He hasn't gotten hurt in years by not wearing these overly priced, overly expensive footwear. I couldn't imagine them running 100 miles barefoot. No. It's like, all right, next, let's get a pack of midgets, and they got nunchucks, and they're going to try and hit you.
Buddy, little people.
Little people are chasing you for 100 miles, trying to hit you in the genitals with these nunchucks. Let's do that one next. Or a lion is going to chase you as you run 100 miles. No, thank you. I will support these people 110%. I will have them on the show, and we can talk about how crazy they are, but and support their charities and stuff. But oh my God, I could never do that. My our friend Steve, Coach Steve, will be joining us next week as a special guest co-host. Sports guy, football coach. He walked for 24 hours. For 24 hours to raise money for veteran suicide awareness.
He's like, dude, I stopped when I stopped. I took my sock off, and I had liquid shooting out of my foot for like 3 minutes. Why would you want to do that to yourself, dude? I mean, like, great, that's awesome. You raise all this money for all this amazing organization because like there's a lot that needs to be, veteran military suicide psychology, all that, a lot of good stuff that needs to be done there. But walking for 24 hours, dude, get the fuck out of here, dude. I'm all set.
Before we get off, right? I want to talk about one more. I don't know how well you follow women's sports at all or anything like that. Like, it's not like it's been a topic recently, like the last 2 years. I feel like it's caught a lot of momentum on the especially on the basketball side.
Yeah.
So last night was the WNBA draft. I'm sure you heard.
Yeah.
Right. So Caitlin Clark obviously taken #1 overall.
She was that chick from
Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa State, yeah.
It's supposed to be the next big thing. You know what I mean? Like, she shoots lights out. She scores all these points. She's the female version of Steph Curry. Right. All this stuff that you hear. Her jersey, when she was drafted, buddy, sold out all of but like 2 of their sizes.
Right.
And they're like limited numbers of those.
Yep.
Do you know how much she's making as the first overall pick?
I do, and this is kind of I was kind of chuckling over this. I heard this morning.
My mind.
Getting paid $300,000 a year. No,
not even $79,000 a year.
Ooh, and she made $3 million.
I mean, she'll still have her sponsors. I'm sure those NIL deals don't just run out when she went to
the draft in dressed head to toe in it's like some designer, some oh shit, oh god, I don't know. I'm not a designer bag kind of guy, but she like Prada. She was wearing Prada from like head to toe. It's like $1 million outfit, and she's making like almost like what I make a year for being a mental health professional.
So
which is that's really scary, dude.
So right here, under the 2024 WNBA rookie scale for the number 1 through 4 draft picks, she will earn a base salary of $76,535 for her first year. She will be awarded $78,066 in her second year. And $85,873 for her third year. In her fourth year, there's an option. It's $97,000. There's no way Caitlin Clark gets to the fourth year without a deal. I don't see. She's already selling their jerseys out, buddy. I went online, right? So I'm a big fan of Angel Reese, the Bayou Barbie. She is. First of all, she's amazing to watch on the floor. Second of all, she's very easy on the ice. Big fan. Big fan.
It's always a plus.
Right? So I looked on, I was like, oh, when's Caitlin Clark coming to Connecticut? Because that's the closest WNBA team we have. It's in, I think it's like in a month or so. It's like in May at some point. And the tickets for her game to come here with the Indiana Fever, who was last place last year, obviously, they got the #1 overall pick, is $123 a ticket.
Wow.
Right? I looked on to go see when Angel Reese comes and when because she's coming with Chicago. That's what she got drafted to, Chicago. She got drafted 7. I think the girl from South Carolina got drafted 4th. They're going to be teammates, which is going to be fun to watch. They got good basketball players there. The tickets for them. You want to take a guess how much those tickets are?
I'm gonna go 162. No, higher, lower. Oh, 140.
Way
low.
$27.
$27.
So add $100, and that's what Caitlin Clark adds to that team.
Oh wow, yeah, that's
You're gonna tell me that she's not gonna be looking for and deserving.
I don't think she's gonna get a giant pay raise because honestly, who watches the WNBA? They're like,
so that's what I'm saying though. But Caitlin
Clark like springtime football.
Caitlin Clark will bring eyes to the WNBA. People will watch the Indiana Fever just because of her.
Like more women should like support. You would think would support
not just women, not just women.
Men alike, of course, men and women. It's not a sexist thing. But I mean, it's not a really widely watched sport like the NBA, for example. It's nowhere near.
So
NBA numbers.
we've had college stars from the women's divisions come up and disappear when they get to the NBA, WNBA. Apparently, you know what I mean. Like Diana Taurasi was a big star. Like Lisa Leslie. All these females were stars of their own right. Like I just
Right.
remember Diana Taurasi was such a big star at UConn.
Yep.
And then when she got to the WNBA, it felt like all the media kind of went away.
Yeah, and can't most of these
Di-
women can't they make like triple, quadruple the salaries if they go play in Europe or South America or something?
Yeah, they make more playing overseas. I think that's going to change though, because I think like all this new blood, like Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, all these other girls are dragging the women's bracket of the NCAA tournament was more watched than the men's.
Yeah, it was. It was really popular this year.
Right. And that's all because of these these women that are coming up. I don't think it's going to do NBA numbers. Let's be real. They're not going to get those contracts, but I do think we're going to see a jump in what those girls make, and I think it's deservingly so if they fill the seats.
Mm-hmm.
But Caitlin Clark's going to fill stadiums. People are going to go watch her. I got to feel like just by looking online for those tickets. I mean, $100 a ticket difference is a pretty big difference for a girl that hasn't even touched the court yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, just seeing that, I feel like the WNBA is in a good spot. I think it's in the best spot it's been since it was, like, introduced to the world. I don't remember, like, hype being surrounded by the WNBA like it is right now.
Oh, no, for sure. But, like, golf is another sport that's on the rise with viewers, and there's a lot more interesting golf. I don't watch either one, so I really couldn't speak on it. But I have
like
noticed
sports in general have hit like a peak right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, look at the UFC, buddy. The
that's
UFC
really
was
gotten popular,
like huge before, but during the pandemic when they were the only sport going and they kept it alive and kept going. I think they gained so many fans, and that momentum just hasn't stopped.
Right. Yeah, it's very popular now.
James Anito is going to join me on Friday, and we're going to recap UFC 300 at the end of our show.
Ooh,
yep.
More
I'm going to have him on. I'm going to have him on for like a half hour or so at the end, and we're going to review, what we saw in UFC 300. And honestly, buddy, the best knockout I have ever seen in combat sports happened on Saturday night. It was Max Holloway knocked out Justin Gaethje with 1 second left on the clock.
Wow.
Never seen anything like it, and I've been watching UFC my whole life. You know what I mean? It took a few years off here and there, but
I saw a lot of good highlights in the last 2 days, UFC related. I don't know if it was all connected to Saturday. I'm sure it was, but it's some really good, like wow, this guy's getting his face pounded in. That's exactly what I want to watch.
Dude, the UFC had their biggest event. It was UFC 300, obviously, and it's not their 300th event. Like people are like, oh, it's a 300th. It's not their 300th event. It's just their 300th numbered event, and it's not even that. I'm not gonna get into it. There's like a whole deep dive where they canceled a couple events because of stuff. They canceled one because of COVID. There was another reason.
It's per month, or is it
more? So like they do the UFC strange, man. So like every week, pretty much they have either a fight card. They have the Contender Series. They have the numbered shows, which now just went up to UFC 300, which I think that's every month or every other month. You know what I mean? Like depending on whenever it lands.
Yep.
And then they also have like, the fight nights in Brazil, and they have special events and stuff like that. So, but UFC 300, man, there was a lot of hype around it, and they delivered. Like they absolutely delivered on their biggest show, and I don't think there was a disappointed UFC fan.
I know you're a big wrestling guy, so I don't want to like spin this, but it's long been the thing that like wrestling's kind of fake. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of realism to. I being a wrestling fan at one time myself. There's a lot of realism to it, but it's planned, right?
It's predetermined.
UFC, they just kicking each other's faces in, and that's just like it's raw, it's bloody. You said that fight last year where that guy threw a kick and he landed wrong, and his whole leg just like oh my god, this is horrifying, but great. I want to watch more. Yeah, it's really fresh. It's really violent. It's really some of it's really super quick.
But all as violent as it is, there's so much strategy that goes into it too.
Oh, of course there is. Yeah.
Like, and these athletes are just these are the best athletes that have ever graced the UFC. and it's like we're getting fights that are just next level, like special fights. And it's Dana White's done such a great job. Him and the matchmakers that they have, they know what the fans want to see. They continuously deliver on what the fans want to see, and then they give us fights that we didn't know we want to see that turn out to be even better than some of the ones we want to see. Like they know what they're doing. Like if I'm PFL, like the Pro Fighting League, or if I'm bare knuckle boxing, why are you not biting UFC style? Like, take what they have. They obviously are doing this successfully. Use what they're doing to your advantage.
For sure.
Like,
yeah, for sure. Oh my God,
they're the
man,
most
it's
successful
kicking
mixed
me,
martial
for sure.
arts league. It's crazy, man. It's so much fun to watch right now. The Celtics start the playoffs soon too, by the way.
Yeah, right. They 64 and 18? Is that what their record was?
Yeah,
Or
something like that. They finished first.
pretty,
They have
pretty
home
damn
court.
good.
Yeah, they have a home court through the playoffs. They kind of puttered into the playoffs now.
Yeah.
Like they had a
but-
couple bad losses that they probably shouldn't have, but in the grand scheme of things, doesn't really mean shit until you get to that 7-game series.
Yeah,
And
right.
hell-
Bruins is skating right into the playoffs. Another like dominant year for them. Hopefully they continue that flow into they kind of slowed down towards the end of the season.
I feel like every year the Celtics and the Bruins get to this point and then they fail to deliver.
Yeah. And unfortunately it's been the
Like
trend,
it just
but
feels like that's been the trend lately.
they're really dominating. Tatum got picked for the Olympic team, I think. I heard that today.
Deserves it. He's one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, for sure. He's really good. That'd be exciting.
I think the
take away
Celtics have
some
a
of the-
chance. I think they have a chance to win it all as long as they keep if Porzingis is healthy and if Drew Holiday's healthy, and obviously Tatum has to be healthy. Like that goes without saying. So if Tatum and Brown are healthy, and then those two supporting players, like if Porzingis and Drew Holiday are healthy, man, they're tough to beat, especially with Derek White and Pritchard coming off the bench. Like they are, and Al Horford. Like Al Horford's great for what I've been saying all year is you give him 10, 12 minutes a game, and he can stop pretty much anybody defensively, and he'll give you a couple points. Like he's good, he's older, but he can give you some good minutes in there. You just don't want to overuse them, and that's where the health of like Kristaps Porzingis and all those guys go. Like if they're healthy, they're really really good.
Nice.
Who was that?
That's Jeffrey Ahern. He's the guy I was talking about who's running these ridiculous long races, 100-mile. Jeffrey Ahern. This guy here. He's one of my dearest and closest friends. Yeah, so good times. Cheers, Jeffrey Ahern, coming back from a lovely trip in the Bahamas with his beautiful family. So next week we have joining us live from the lovely city of Boston, from the Greater Boston Paranormal Research Society. He's also the I could call him, I guess, the paranormal caretaker. He's not of the USS Salem. Don Faro is going to join us. He's also a giant Celtics fan, giant Patriots fan. So with the Celtics starting the playoffs, I'm sure Don will have a lot to add with the Celtics chat. Don, we're also going to be joined by Coach Steve. He's a varsity football coach. He's a Navy vet. He's a motivational speaker, trainer. He's a swell guy. I worked with him for a number of years in mental health, of course, as well. He supports the whole bald, look. He's a bolder guy. Swell fellow. He's going to join us for a little chit and chat. That's all I really got for you right now, Brendan.
So on Friday, Joe and I are going to be talking this week in wrestling. We have a few topics that we weren't able to hit when we reviewed WrestleMania that we're going to get into. Obviously, there's some AEW stuff that I want to get into, what they're doing wrong because they're just running that company directly into the ground. What WWE is doing right, which seems to be everything they touch turns to gold. And then, like I said, at 8 o'clock, we're going to bring James Anito on, and me and him are going to review UFC 300. Well, so the mid card's on at Friday at 7 o'clock. I'm also working on a couple guests that I had on originally when I had the mid card. A couple friends of the program, mid card guys, made their bones in wrestling. This guy Randy Hogan, who's he's a good friend of mine, and he made a living off of obviously copying Hulk Hogan.
Hogan. Oh yeah.
And
right.
being a jobber, but he faced some of the biggest names in wrestling, like Vader and like all these sorts of dudes. He's a real fun guy to talk to. I'm working on like getting a date with him to have him come on and talk for 20 minutes or whatever it is, just to do a quick interview. There's a couple other guys that I'm working on for our show too. There's a pro boxer. I'm not going to say their names obviously until it gets done because I don't want to promise something or upset them if they get busy. But we're working on some big things here, and I'm really excited. What we got
big things get cooking. Speaking of big things cooking, myself and the two other dudes will start filming the end of this month at the Crooked Current Brewery. It's the smallest brewery in the smallest state. It's also owned by a woman. She's a lovely lady. She makes some really delicious beers, and we're going to stop there for our first show. Start filming the end of the month, and we hope to have the new episode the beginning of May.
Nice.
Got a whole lot of breweries secured. We're making some beers. We're making some mead. We're swimming in deliciousness. You can find all that and our lovely faces at www.avandownbytheriv.podcast.com. That's all I got, Brendan.
That's all I got too. You can, like I said, join us Friday at 7:00. We'll be live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all the fun stuff. Joey Wrestler and I will be talking wrestling, and I cannot wait. It's my favorite thing. It's so much fun. But with that,
right.
man, I'm good, man. I hope you guys all have a great night. Follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever you can find us. Shout out. Send us a message what you want us to talk about. If you have any idea of, just any podcast ideas, like what kind of guests you want to see. And we'll try to work that in.
Chirp it in.
Okay. Chirp it in. Give us a like, a follow, and a comment. Helps with the algorithm.
Subscribe, all that stuff. Hit the buttons.
Yeah, be a friend, tell a friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be a friend, tell a friend. Help share the podcast. Help us out here.
Hey, buddy.
We're just a little podcast.
How you doing? Yeah.
Right.
All right. So that's it. Okay. Toodles.
Have a good night.